Hey guys, I'm Jesse P, creator of the TinyWhoop.
And it can give you the completely immersive gift of flight. And that's what people are falling in love with.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Special guest tonight, special show tonight. Allow me to explain if you haven't been here before for one of these. The way this is going to work is Robot Lady for the night is off. Super chats as well as member alerts will be off as well. This is done to give our guest the most respect we possibly can and give them our full attention. If you have any questions for him, feel free to tag us in chat either at TinyWhoop or at OG Dr. Love. And we will jot your question down, either try to work it into the conversation organically, or we can drop some questions for him at the end. I think that's it. I think that's everything. Enjoy the show. I'm going to hop over in here, and we'll see what's going on with these fellas. Gentlemen, hello, and good day.
Hello.
Hello, and good day to you.
First off, big warm welcome to our guest, Jesse. It's nice to have you here, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
First and foremost, I guess we got to ask the story behind the name Mr. TinyWhoop. If you wouldn't mind just starting with maybe explaining yourself.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in 2015, that was when like FPV racing was just getting started, right? And there was a race in Sacramento that the Drone Sports Association, the DSA, who's now thankfully extinct, they called that race the Drone National.
I'm sorry, one more. I didn't hear the end there. It cut out a little bit.
Drone Nationals 2015
Drone
was the name of the
Nationals,
race
Mm.
in Sacramento. They let 100 pilots go over there, and at that time I was, part of a group of friends here in Colorado. It was me, Jordan Temkin, and Chris Fisher, and we were all just learning to fly together and having a great time, and we decided to go. And because everybody else that we knew that was going had a team name and like had a squad that all like everybody was pretty much YouTube famous except us at the time. We called ourselves Team Big Whoop.
I see, okay.
Partly to mock that.
Right, okay.
And part of our brand was everywhere we went, we just stickered the shit out of it. Can I curse on this?
Oh,
one?
yeah, absolutely. Go nuts.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the vibe is.
No, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah,
It's
we were
We
wide
were
open.
stickering the shit out everywhere we went. We were slapping stickers, and all they said was "Big Whoop." I have one around here somewhere. Just the original Big Whoop stickers, just a square.
I've seen them.
And it has the
I
text
remember the
Big
Big
Whoop.
stickers. I remember seeing them.
We put them on every trash can. We put them on everybody's gearboxes. And like there was no other. The only other teams at that time were like Team Lumineer, like
Big brands.
just brands.
Yeah.
They weren't real
Yeah.
teams. They were fake teams. And every like Team Voodoo Quats was around back then, and all those guys were really cool. But they were always saying to us, and this is something that really defined the way I think about teams and brands and sponsor deals now. It just always told everybody on Team Big Whoop, which was 4 people at the time. Now there's a total of 7 people on Team Big Whoop. But the 4 of us at the time, everybody was really jealous that we could still do whatever we wanted and fly whatever we wanted. And they had to wear the shirts and they had to fly the frames.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
just like,
They were kind of stuck.
even though it was brand new industry, there was already so much bullshit involved, and
That's
we could
unfortunate.
smell it a mile away. And by the way, so could all those guys. But it was at a time where if you were a drone pilot and someone's like, "Hey, can we sponsor you?" everybody was just saying yes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it was just like instant yes, because
Right.
you know, to be sponsored in drones back then was just like something nobody even knew it was a thing. You know, so we went to Drone Nationals and we had a great time. Drone Nationals 2015 was won by Final Glide Oz. But this is a very little known fact. The only reason Jordan Temkin didn't, in my opinion, sweep that race was because the DSA was such a fuck up. They just screwed everything up. And for his last qualifier, he didn't even get to fly. He was seating way up at the top of the list,
Yeah.
you know, next to all the people that would go on to be in DRL alongside him. But he had such awful video, he couldn't even fly.
Jeez.
That was where I met all the celebrities. Carlos was there, and I just remember him next to me saying, "I got no video, I got no video," and that became a meme. You know, like we just nobody ever had good video there. It was literally in a stadium with metal seats. We were all sitting in like metal stadium seats, and race band had just come out. Nobody knew what was going on. I'm getting way off topic.
No.
Anyway,
okay.
fast forward a few races. Yeah. Fast forward a few races. The next big race was held in Las Vegas, and it was in a parking garage underneath Fremont Street, run by my buddy Adam, and it was called the FPV Underground. And we went, you know, this is like, if you went, everybody that came home from the 2015 Nationals in Sacramento came back thinking, now I'm going to get really serious about drones. Like all 100 pilots got real serious about drones at that point. And so we all started going to all the races. And when we went back to Vegas for FPV Underground a couple months later, it was all our same friends pretty much, you know?
Yeah.
And that was where we got the idea to have what became Drone House. And we went to all the big races. There was a big one in Salt Lake City, 2 more in Vegas. I can't even remember where the big ones were.
So it sounds like really the name stemmed all just from racing mainly, like just
well, it pretty much. We were a mini quad racing team, and we were always on the podium. We did really great, but also because we had these drone houses, the after hours activity was always micros.
Right, sure.
And the micros we were flying back then were like no ducts. You know, the Inductrix had not come out yet. That would be several months later, but just like 65 millimeter propellers. It's actually
the Proto X. Is that what you're talking about?
We started with the Proto X, but I'm saying when we got to FPV, we had to use this.
Oh, you're talking about FPV stuff. Okay.
Yeah, we started FPVing micros. Proto X was actually my first quad ever. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. But the micro we were flying was called the PFG 110, made by Phoenix Flight Gear, and it was a little 110 size with props that were like 65 millimeter. It was brushed, and it was scary. And there's a video on my personal channel, on the Jesse P FPV channel, that's been, you know, dead ever since I launched the TinyWhoop channel, which is, you know, anyway. There's a video of me terrorizing Drone House, I think Drone House 2.0 or something. And there was 5 early drone houses, but by the 3rd one, TinyWhoop was alive. And initially, when I went to a race in Phoenix called the Phoenix Cup, I got 3rd place flying mini quad at the Phoenix Cup. But I brought a new sticker, and it was like a little teeny tiny version of the Big Whoop sticker, and it said TinyWhoop. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
The sticker was a joke on the Big Whoop sticker, and we put it everywhere. So everybody, when they saw it, they'd have to get up close and read that it was TinyWhoop.
Yeah.
So when the Inductrix came out, and my buddy on Team Big Whoop, Christian Avedon, put a FPV camera on it, and this guy from California named Ori Pomoni upgraded the motors, and then, you know, the recipe just blew up from there. It evolved so fast.
I was gonna say it still is to this day.
Yeah. Well, it's branching and it's a big giant spider web in all directions. But at the time, it was really not a whole lot of options. The only place you could get motors was from Benedict Hawk at Micromotor Warehouse. Dr. Ben, he supported TinyWhoop in a major way. As soon as I launched the YouTube channel, he sent me a care package full of, you know, hundreds of dollars worth of motors. I later found out that it's not a whole lot of money worth of motors because the markup on brushed motors was just insane for so long.
Yeah.
You know, they're $1 each.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Or like maybe they're not that cheap anymore, but
give or take though. Like
pretty
back
then they were cheaper. And he sent me a whole bunch of sets of motors, and when I asked him why, he said I'm the kind of person that always throws fuel on the fire. Or whatever. I can't remember.
I like
He
that.
says I'm gonna feed every fire with oxygen.
Yeah, I like
There you
that.
go.
He made a huge difference in my life and in the TinyWhoop movement because I suddenly didn't have to be super, super careful. Like quads back then were incredibly like now the recipes evolved so far. Frames don't break often. We've completely changed the power system a million times over.
Yeah.
The original pigtail.
Well, he's got some history for us.
Yeah, it does.
Here's the second TinyWhoop I ever made.
Oh my gosh.
And it's got this pigtail here. This is the original Inductrix pigtail,
Wow, that's
which
wild.
is
Oh,
JST 1.25. And it didn't. This thing still flies, but it didn't take long before people realized that somebody pointed a heat camera at one of these things. And this thing is just white hot. Like this is a major bottleneck. This pigtail, a huge. And as soon as we switched to the PH 2.0, everybody doubled their flight times. Anyway. We're flying in all the drone houses every night, and we kind of realized early on that the after hours was really the whole point of these drone trips everybody was taking. You know, we'd go to these races, and they were just so shitty. The IDRA was like, IDRA and the DSA were just complete BS. You'd sit there for 14 hours. They'd be like, show up at 8 a.m. and you leave at midnight. Around, and like, they just could not get it together. And even after a year, we were like, in the beginning, we were like, okay, they're starting to get used to it. These are growing pains. It's all good. And then we just realized we were working with the wrong people. You know, MultiGP was just getting going at that time, and they have they're a group that was not here to like get rich.
Right.
The DSA and the IDRA was like a group of like really excited entrepreneurs who just wanted to get rich off this fad that was happening 2015, 16, 17. All they cared about was the sponsors. They did not care about the pilots at all. They didn't care about the rules. They didn't care about consistency in the rules. They would change like huge parts of the course halfway through a round of heats or something.
Yeah.
And then just hope the pilots didn't care or say anything.
That's weird.
Jesus.
And
Sounds pretty
but we
whack.
didn't care because we were having such like I got home and someone pointed out to me, they're like, look how shitty of a job they did. And it took me minutes to even wake up because I just came back from one of the greatest trips of my life. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was having so much fun, and the heart of it was in the community and in the after hours, which
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
me was the kind of thing that became TinyWhoop.
Yeah.
So when this recipe started to get going, I just put out a Google document or something that was like a recipe. It was called the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
And then a whole bunch of my friends really wanted me to start a store. And so we made 20 of them and they sold in like a day. And then we used that money to buy more parts. And the whole time I was working through like a hobby shop because Horizon Hobby is the only place to get a lot of these parts. They were the only place that made the Inductrix frame. And if you want to get a wholesale account at Horizon Hobby, you have to have a storefront, and something like 75% of your products have to be Horizon Hobby products.
Whoa.
Like they're a gigantic company
Yeah.
with insane rules.
Sounds like
And
it.
in the end, it really bit him in the ass. But
Well, that'll happen.
Yeah.
after like 4 months, I talked them into letting me have an account, and they let me sell the frames and the flight controllers. I got the original camera, which was made by FXT, who I still work with to make the pinch. They were selling that through Hobby King, and it was like a really narrow field of view.
Yeah.
You know, just awful. Second FPV micro combo to come out after the VA 1100, which was also made by Horizon Hobby.
So would you say that you talking Hobby King into letting you get that account is kind of the Kickstarter to you being able to open a store and in the long run?
I had already done it, so my good friend Mark and a mentor of mine who I worked for years before then, I used to manage a coffee shop. And
Okay, that was my next
he-
question: is what
he-
you were doing before this?
Yeah, well, it's a longer story than that, but my buddy that owns this coffee shop, and he taught me all about business. I managed his coffee shop and 2 hookah bars and a wholesale distributorship for him.
Oh wow.
And that was like a year and a half after I finished a whole bunch of traveling. And that led straight into TinyWhoop.
Okay.
So he actually helped me get the LLC going. And then, it was just like get a bank account, get an EIN number, and then, find because the business is growing so fast, it was like we got a warehouse, then we got a bigger warehouse, then we moved into a third, and this is the 4th warehouse, and now I've been in this room for like 6 years. This is like the same TinyWhoop headquarters that all the invitationals were hosted in. So yeah, Horizon Hobby giving me that account, that made it possible to make like my sort of TinyWhoop branded things go out the door to like a handful of people. But
Yeah.
we were all doing it anyway, and it did not take very long at all before China noticed.
Oh yeah.
As a business, TinyWhoop.com never scaled fast enough. If I would have known, like, if I would have had a big picture idea of what TinyWhoop was and like how it was going to sweep the nation, everybody was telling me it was a fad that was going to be over in a few months.
They were
And
dead wrong
if
on
I
that
had
one.
known, yeah, it's here forever. If I had known that at the time, it would have been super smart for me to get like $1 million loan, or as big a one as I could.
Yeah, and just
and
heavily
I could
invest
have
into
scaled way, way, way faster, rather than the mom and pop business, which I love. I've said it before. Nobody in the world, I think I said it to you on a call. Nobody in the world is like, oh, when I grow up, I want to own a retail store.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely not
I
in the
love.
plans.
I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, but the retail store side of it is totally boring and grindy,
Yeah.
and it's just not cool. It's not, being the TinyWhoop guy is amazing, and like, being a part of the community, as you guys know, is just a really special experience. But running a retail store is cool. I make a ton of friends.
Sure.
Like just the other day, we screwed up this guy's order to Sweden, and then he canceled the order, and then we shipped it. It was this giant order.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no, I just lost a ton of money. It was like $250, which is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
But I sent him a message. I gave him my number, and like we ended up talking for over an hour on the phone.
Oh, wow.
Because he's such a cool guy. He's making 3D TinyWhoops using Sky Zone goggles. So he has a channel and a camera for each eye, and he's doing all these experimentation.
Oh, sick.
Getting his brain used to really wide field of view lenses.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
super wide lenses in 3D. I thought it wasn't possible, but he's like got the
That's wild.
system where he can change the anyway. So I make
Yeah, I
friends
love
all
all
the
that.
time.
Oh,
That's the best part.
Yeah, I
you know?
love that about this community. It's always been one of my favorite parts about it is just how friendly and open it is for the most part. I mean, of course, you're always going to have those little.
Of course, there's always those pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
for
got
the
a
most
little
part.
bit of bleed over from the mini
Yeah.
quad drama, That's
Yeah.
what happened early on.
Yeah.
This TinyWhoop culture was so inspired by the flight test guys, and they're a bunch of really cool Christians that have a really wholesome vibe, each one teach one mentality, and
Yeah.
everybody had a mentor and wants to be a mentor, and that really came into TinyWhoop hard. But then all these mini quad people came over, and I'm not, I started in mini quads. I'm not trash talking mini quad pilots, but there's something about the way that community is shaped that it lets it's like some real harsh attitudes happen in a lot of the time.
For sure.
And that was bleeding over, but we just squashed it.
Yeah.
The policy in the
Yeah.
TinyWhoop group is zero tolerance, because one of the things I noticed early on is if somebody's a dick to a rando, that's not their first or last time.
Oh
being a
yeah,
dick
no,
to a
definitely.
rando.
Yeah, no, that's some typical
so-
behavior type stuff.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I, people change. So I'm not saying people don't change, but when when the group got to a certain size, it was like I'm not gonna reach out and like counsel someone
Yeah.
every day. So we started just squashing it, and that made a big difference.
Well, good.
Kind of bouncing all over.
No, that's fine. That's usually how this goes until we get a track. So that's good.
All right.
I was going to ask though another question, but I wanted to give OG a chance to chime in if he had any questions or anything.
Well, only thing I was gonna say is I think it's so cool that I didn't realize that the TinyWhoop community kind of grew out of the drone houses. I mean, I've been at several Whoop houses, and
Hey, man.
right, like that's almost. I feel like there's a good portion. I won't say a good portion, but a lot of people that go to races just as much for the Whoop House experience as
For
they do for the
sure.
race itself.
I mean,
It's such a vibe. It's
yeah,
always
that
such a
is
vibe.
the heart of our culture. That's the heart,
Yeah.
and everybody, we're coming up on Whooptopia right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm
Whooptopia
excited.
Whooptopia is the Super Bowl of tiny whoop races.
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking
the
forward to it.
greatest race out there.
So
Are both you
excited.
guys going?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Heads, you're going?
Yes, I'll be there. I'm not racing, but I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay, good.
I'm
I'll be hanging
just
around.
doing commentary. Yeah,
Well,
I'm just having a blast.
I'll be hanging
I'm
out
just
with you
partying.
then.
You're just sitting there in front
Yeah.
of the live stream for 10 straight hours on Saturday and Sunday.
It's so fun. I got some really fun ideas for the live stream. I'm not gonna spoil it all, but I was talking to AK, and there's gonna be it's gonna be a blast. Will be the greatest event ever. You know, the level,
All right,
not
right
just
on.
in terms of the level of skill, which is through the roof.
Oh my god.
It's insane what's happening right now.
Yeah.
If the T-Dog and AK rivalry, AK, he's got the turkey, he's got the hat trick 3 in a row before T-Dog
Yeah.
showed up and detoroned him and made him switch to acro. Not made him, but
Yeah.
he said it very clearly. He was already switching to acro, but didn't want to change going into that event.
Yeah, makes
But
sense.
he did, But now we've got all these other big names. Nightwing, the guy who works here, he races
Nightwing's
T-Dog
good.
locally and beats him sometimes. They went to a race together the other day, and Nightwing beat him every single race except the final. And I could not believe that. So yeah, and these guys are all doing like 100 packs a day or whatever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah,
I
the
want
dedication
this momentum
is
to
nuts.
continue forever.
I think it
I
will.
want the
It'll
time
just
to do 100 packs a day.
it'll just keep getting more and more competitive. So that bar will keep raising.
Yeah, and this is like the 4th year in a row or something that Whooptopia tickets sell out in a few seconds or minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah,
just-
I had to set an alarm. When they went on sale, I had to set an alarm on my phone. It's been in the middle of a work day, and
Yep.
I was in the middle of a job. Had some ladies' drain lines and stuff taken apart, and I had to stop and be like, "Oh, I need to go grab something from my van." And I went out and sat there and refresh.
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, if you don't do that, it's like it's a good
You're gonna
chance
miss
you're
it.
not going to get a ticket, and then you're going to be on the long ass waiting list.
the good news is you can do that. Like you if you have those 10 minutes, you're one of the people that's going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
It's not at the point yet, because the next stage is everybody's on point, everybody's ready, everybody's set up going into that, but not everybody gets a ticket. That's the future.
Yeah.
Because just have that many people interested in Whooptopia.
Yeah.
Well, to
So-
jump us out of FPV for a moment,
All right. all right.
you said you traveled a little bit before all of this, you did some traveling.
Yeah.
Do you mind explaining?
I was a full-time traveler for really long, for like a decade. It was the only thing I
shit.
did, and
What?
I was, I got into it because my buddy talked me into hopping on a train. He was like,
Yeah.
Jesse, I did a speech. I told like all these people I'm hopping on a train this weekend, and you got to go with me. So I was trying to be all hardcore at that time, and the train tracks went right past the place where I worked. So yeah, we hopped that train, and we actually switched to another train in Cheyenne, and then we both got arrested.
What?
And then when I got
for
back
hopping on the
home-
train?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a longer story than that, but anyway, we got arrested, and when I got back home, it was just like the greatest adventure of my life. So we started doing it like every weekend, hopping on a train, and then we started to realize I have this thing called the crew change guide, which you could look up on the internet later, but it tells you where to go in every train yard to get on a train, and where the trains are going, and where to watch out for the pit bulls or whatever. So so we would always hop trains and go a long ways and then hitchhike to get home. And I just realized that I was more of a hitchhiker than a train rider. So I spent 10 years living that life. And I had one summer where I did a 10,000-mile summer hitchhiking and slept outside
Damn.
almost every night.
Jesus.
And that was kind of the peak.
Was this
That
all
was
over
like-
the U.S.?
Yeah, I did the U.S., but I also did some. I spent 6 months traveling in Europe and did a bunch of hitchhiking there too.
Wow.
That
Okay.
was a lot harder.
Yeah, I bet.
No sketchy situations or close calls with hitchhiking. No
Yeah,
creepers.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, It was all, those are like the worst stories from my traveling days. Like, they're the saddest stories. But
Yeah.
the way it always went down was, when you're hitchhiking, you're actually probably meeting the friendliest, the nicest 10% of people on the road, like really kind, helpful people. You have a lot of Christians. You have a lot of like I came across like three military recruiters.
Hmm.
I think they have a policy of always picking up hitchhikers.
Did they ask you to
And
join a whole
Oh
bunch?
yeah, they're the slickest
Yeah.
they're the slickest salesmen I've ever met in my life. Army recruiters
Hmm.
is scary. They are trained by the greatest salesmen on planet Earth. Nobody's better at convincing someone to do something they don't really want to do than an Army
Oh, yeah.
recruiter. I don't have I'm not anti-military or anything like that, but I'm definitely anti-Army recruiter. Those guys are just
They're a
way out
little
of
over the
line,
top.
man.
Yeah, a little over the
Way
top.
out of line.
So you're
But yeah,
traveling
then
around the U.S. You're traveling a little bit around Europe. That's all within that like 10-year span.
Yeah, that's how I spent a lot of my 20s.
And how old are you now?
I'm 41.
41. Okay. So majority of your 20s is traveling. Did you go to college?
Yep, I got a degree in philosophy from the
No
Colorado State
kidding.
University.
Okay, so
damn.
that was my other question is where did you take off from before the traveling? So I'm assuming you've been Colorado majority of your life.
Yep. Whenever I wasn't
When you weren't traveling,
I
right.
grew up in Colorado, and I've lived a handful of other places. I lived in Minneapolis for a while. I lived in Michigan for a while.
Okay.
And lived in Tennessee for a while. And I've spent a whole bunch of time on the West Coast. That's where I always wound up because that's the nicest place to travel. That's where everybody's really friendly, and I kept running into people that I'd already met before.
Yeah.
It was just really, really fun out there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, then I got set up I made some friends and talked my way into a job at a coffee shop and became the manager there. Really cool 24-hour coffee shop in Fort Collins called the Alley Cat.
Okay.
You should totally, if you ever come through, this is an unbelievable place. And my buddy owned it, and yeah, I ended up working for him for a little bit, and then I became the manager, and then he wanted me to manage his other businesses too.
Okay.
And that was like a really, really educational part of my life also, because I did go to school, but I went to school for philosophy, which on the one hand, it's not useful for getting a job, but it is sort of useful for everything.
Right.
I thought of it more as like a way broader form of training than like job training, but I also see a lot of value in job training.
Boy,
now
yeah,
that I've
yeah.
had to find a lot
Sure.
of it myself.
Right.
For sure.
Uh,
For sure.
I have a similar kind of situation. OG knows him as well, but I worked for a guy who owned a vape shop. So he sold, I built coils for him all day. That's pretty much all I did was I would just build
Oh, cool.
coils for people's vaporizers. But he opened that business and then hired me to manage it so that he could go on and he wanted to open a restaurant, and he had all these other business ideas he was going to do. And he wanted me to kind of very similar situation where he was like, I teach you the business and teach you how to run it, and then I'm gonna go do something else, and eventually I'll need your help there. But then
That is awesome.
I got sick though. I got sick as shit. That's when I got diagnosed. So awesome dude though. Let me keep my job and everything while I was in the hospital, and helped pay for everything. So really awesome guy. But yeah, it's funny. It was almost a very similar situation.
That's cool.
If I didn't get sick and my wife didn't get pregnant after that, then I probably would have ended up still working for him.
That's cool.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad gig. It taught me a lot about running a business as well and starting a business.
Yeah,
which I feel is pretty priceless.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool form of education, and I have a bunch of friends and people I work with now that went to school for business, and I really envy a lot of that education. But at the same time, part of my attitude about university right now is that enterprise has got to die eventually.
Yeah, it's getting a little out of control.
not to discourage anybody from going to school, but there is so many ways to get an education and so many
Cheaper ways
educations
where you're not in lifelong
way
debt
cheaper
afterwards.
ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have
yes.
friends that are in 80 grand of debt. You know, it's like a really crazy way to start your career. Is
Oh, and what's wild is most of my friends that went to college don't even work anywhere remotely close to the field that they went to college for.
yeah, same here.
Yeah, it
Same
seems to be
here.
the case quite a bit from
Like,
what I
outside
understand.
of engineers seem to be the only ones. Any of my friends that went to school for engineering are all engineers, but like pretty much anything else, it's like no, they. As you get out, you're in so much debt, and businesses want you to have experience and everything else.
Yeah.
I've always been there's no replacement for on the job experience.
There's no replacement for experience. You know, that's one thing I heard on one of my first, one of the first videos that really inspired me was there's no replacement for experience, and experience takes time, and you have to put in time to get experience. I really believe that.
For sure.
So yeah, I don't know how I feel. Like, I have some friends that dropped out of high school a year early and passed the test, and I was like, that's kind of genius.
That's what I did.
Just start. It's genius, man.
Yeah, I dropped out
I never
early as
even,
soon as I
that
could.
was never a suggestion or an idea in my mind.
Yeah, I just went to
Nobody
work.
ever opened.
I was working full time by the time my graduating class graduated, I had already been working full time at a body shop, making really good money for that time.
That's awesome.
I was just wasting my
Yeah.
time in school. I wasn't built for it. Like mentally, I just wasn't built to sit
Yeah.
and just
I think
listen
the best thing
for that long.
comes out of school is a little bit of social training or whatever. But I didn't get any of that because I was really skinny. I hit puberty really late. None of my friends were in my grade. I had like a squeaky voice and no confidence,
Yeah,
I didn't have any confidence at all until I started waiting tables and hitchhiking and being forced to be around people. It was just a really timid and shy person. And part of that is because of the way schools are set up and the inferiority complex that I think a lot of people go through in high school or whatever, or junior high.
yeah, it's a tricky time.
Part of my life. I got bullied a lot. You guys get bullied?
Yeah, I just learned how to fight early. But yeah, that's the reason why I learned how to fight.
Okay, I kind of suck at fighting.
Well, you should learn sometime. You're never too old.
So yeah.
I was pretty fortunate. I never really had any bullying experiences. I just was goofy and silly and
That's
made
cool.
people laugh, and it's a surprise. I was always a small kid. Like, I mean, I'm small now. I'm 5'8" now. So like not like I've ever really been a big dude, but
I was
yeah, I
always
guess I
tall
was-
and
I was
skinny,
fortunate.
but I was an easy target.
Yeah.
Try to take my knees out. I was too tall.
Yeah, man. Yeah, tall and skinny, and I looked like a girl. I had hair down to here. And, like, I remember one time in junior high, I was talking to this girl at her locker, which was way out of character for me, like super difficult thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And while I was walking away, I heard somebody ask her if I was a boy or a girl. I was
Oh.
like,
oh
my God.
man,
Did you cut your hair after that, or you kept it
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I probably wasn't immediate, but
shortly after?
I don't know what was going on.
That's fine. It's an awkward time for every kid.
Mm-hmm.
High school is such an awkward time. School in general is just an awkward time. So, like you were saying, it's a
weird.
lot of social learning experiences that you get out of it. But man, are some of them really embarrassing lessons you have to learn.
Yeah.
I guess not for everybody, but yeah, there's definitely some.
Yep.
So that was before. This is all. We're still. I wanted to try to stay a little bit before the store happened.
Yeah.
So between the coffee shop and the store, there was no other job, right? It was just from there to.
Nope, I went back. I went back to traveling a little bit, and I fell for a girl while I was traveling. I fell for a girl in Michigan and moved over there.
Mhm.
And I got a job. I got 2 jobs waiting tables. I was one of those guys at the melting pot
Oh, no
during
kidding.
your fondue,
Oh,
Yeah, nice.
making the big bucks. So. I mean, I love that job. And
so never been to melting pot.
I mean, it's just 4 courses of fondue, and you pay a ton of money for it.
Yeah.
I've heard it's expensive.
Yeah, but it's great to be a waiter I was good at selling wine, so that was good. But yeah, I I came back and was able to, go to drone races, and I met Chris Fisher and Jordan Temkin, who became really influential people in my life. Chris Fisher, he's the first guy that was really became my drone mentor, and he taught me how to solder, and he just helped me get out of the toy level because I had the Proto X. I actually had 10 Proto X's because they kept breaking. I ended up with a total of 10 of them, and I know because I saved the chargers. And then I moved on to a quad called the Ares Ethos QX130. I have one. You want to see it? It's
Yeah,
a
of course.
brush-geared 5-inch. Check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how he remembers all these numbers.
I know, right? He's just
All these
rattling
old
them
numbers
out.
from old parts. Just yeah.
All right, here's one that I painted up.
Wow, that's crazy looking.
That is
Doesn't
nuts.
have a FPV camera on it anymore, but you can kind of see it's got 8.5 millimeter brush motors
Oh man.
to get geared right here.
Oh yeah.
And these
That's
props
crazy.
spin pretty slow relative to everything, even TinyWhoop. These things are slow spinning props. But you could FPV this thing
Yeah.
with the early cameras, just like this one. Just picture this camera on here,
Yeah.
Oh my
and
God.
and it would take a one cell 600 size battery. You'd get like 2 minutes of flight, and it was really, really, really fun. Really fun to FPV.
Were you flying RC stuff before you were doing like any of the quads? Were you flying
Yeah,
like
when I
airplanes
was-
and?
Yep, 3D planes.
Okay.
I flew. Ever actually in real life? I never learned to fly in real life, but I had a time in my life. I mentioned when I was in Michigan, in those tables. Every night, I didn't have any friends there, and it didn't go great in the end with the girl I chased out there. Spent a lot of time alone. That's all right. It was good. It's for the better.
Yeah, I
mean,
know, but yeah, it always stings.
Sucked in the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I could not be more thankful now.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say I know
And-
we'll get into that later, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I started playing with Real Flight, which is a plane simulator. I
Yeah.
used to just hang out in the multiplayer rooms every single night, and that's where I met this guy named Ryan Archer, who is a world-class 3D pilot, and we never met on face-to-face until 2016. We bumped into each other at a drone event way late, that was many years later. And but we hung out every single night in the Real Flight room. So again, this is all like line of sight stuff. So it's kind of like the camera is like you're standing on a flight line, and all the planes are flying around multiplayer.
Oh,
We
okay.
used to do hover battles. So hovering is when the plane hangs on a prop. I don't have any kind of plane around me. The plane just hangs on a prop.
It's like when your nose up.
and nose up,
Okay.
and it's just hovering. And we would do hover battles where you try to knock each other out of the air.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got addicted to that. And
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It was. And in that game or sim, you can pull up anybody's stick cam. And he was doing such crazy stuff with a 3D plane, and I was recording his stick cam and then going back and trying it later. So
Oh, that's
Do
so
it,
funny.
yeah.
that's how I learned 4-channel control, and that really that like sort of calculus, that mindfuck became the addiction of flying to me.
Yeah.
But when FPV came around, it was like a whole new adventure. It was like what I felt like I was meant to do, like a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So,
Yeah, it's one
so
of those
that's how I
things
got.
just feel right.
I always flew RC planes when I was a kid, just as I had air hogs. Air hogs really did.
Oh yeah, little helicopters and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, or just the little 2-channel planes, 2-channel air hogs planes. So all it has is 2 motors. I guess it's not 2-channel. It's 3-channel. All it has is 2 motors, can change speeds, and if you turn both of them on real fast, it'll climb.
Uh-huh.
If you go a little lower, it'll drop, and it's got proportional thrust or whatever, so you can, or what's it called? It's called when you have 2 propellers and they can spin up and slow down to turn you.
Don't ask me for technical terms.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
in chat might grab that one, but
Come on.
differential thrust.
That's it. Differential thrust.
Yeah.
There you
that doesn't
go.
Take long.
Anyway, yeah,
Cheers.
those ones, we used to just go buy those, skip out of college classes and go buy one at Walmart and sit in a park and just play with that, having a good sunny afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, then my dad sent me Proto X, and I really had fun. And then I started flying that brush geared quad, the Ares Ethos QX130, which is a lot like a SEMA. And the SEMA was like, I think the SEMA got a lot more people into it than the Ares Ethos did. The Ares Ethos was a way better quad, and there was one version of the flight controller. They put out 3 versions of the flight controller, but the first one was really snappy and responsive. So you could just like kick it up on different angles, and really you could get deeper with it than you could. They really mellowed it out after the first version.
No, boo.
But I kept all the flight controllers because I wasn't busting that. I was busting all the arms and the gears and the.
I was gonna say, it looks like you break
parts.
some arms.
Yeah, it was just so stupid. It's a really fun design. I think that there will be a slow, this drone, this form factor is dead right now, but I do see in the future big slow propellers could come back. I think that there will be one day when people make a toy out of foam propellers, with foam propellers, 5-inch foam propellers will happen that are going slow again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine if they were gonna happen at any time, it'd be with some foam.
Yeah. But anyway, I was flying this all over campus, and this kid walked up to me and told me he was starting a drone business and he wanted me to be his pilot. And I went to a career fair with him, and he introduced me to everybody as his pilot, but never was his pilot. I never flew for him or anything. But he introduced me to this guy who hooked me up with Chris Fisher, who was one of the other founding members of Team Big Whoop. And then we started the Fort Collins Drone Enthusiasts.
Nope.
And that's where Jordan Temkin showed up. And he had just built his first drone. And we were at about the same skill level. And, there was like one summer or maybe a half a summer where I was beating him in all our races consistently. But then his skill level just skyrocketed.
Just one of those guys that grinded.
I don't know. I was grinding. I don't know. I guess I must not have been grinding as much as him, but his skill level just went through the roof, and he went on to be a 2-time world champion of Drone Racing League, and now he is in Los Angeles flying cinematic drones for Lightroom.
Oh, cool.
Lightroom.tv. I think he's got equity in that company, and he's like their main pilot. He just did a really long photo shoot in New Orleans, hanging out with Will Smith every day for like 4 or 6 months or something.
He didn't get slapped, did he?
Yeah, right.
I don't think he got slapped. That was pre-slap.
Hope he kept his wife's name out of his mouth.
Yeah, keep your drone.
That
out
was
of my
before
face.
the slap. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know at least. Not in any danger.
Yeah. And Chris Fisher, he started a company called Black Bolt that sold some carbon fiber frames called the XBR. It was pretty much I don't have one here. XBR stands for X-Box Racer, and it's like a box this big of carbon fiber, a square with an X. And Trappy made one. I don't think I have any of them here. Trappy later used the idea, and a whole bunch of people have ripped it off since then. I mean, not ripped it off, but evolved it. When it comes to frames, you don't own a frame shape.
Right.
Especially if it's a X or a box or a X box.
Right.
Chris Fisher had awesome success with that. He blew up his little business and sold a whole bunch of frames, but the frame game is always very short-lived, and there's been a few like small businesses that have grown in the early days of drone. X Labs was another one. They made the original Shrike, and that evolved into, that was owned by Zach Thayer, who was also a member of Team Big Whoop. And then he teamed up with Jordan Temkin, and X Labs released these 2 frames called the Brat and the Steez, and that evolved. Then when Jordan broke off from that, he opened Project 399, which is still in existence, and he sells a handful of frames that are all really tight, including the Practice Rig. He was the original creator of the Practice Rig, which went on to become the Street League standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
see,
I don't know, battling history.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to hear all this because like both me and Heads didn't get into the hobby till 2019. So all of this early days stuff, even though some of it I know I've heard about or read about or seen videos on, I know he has too. Like
Yeah.
hearing, it's always interesting to hear more where it all came from.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you didn't miss a whole lot. Like it was really fun, but
Yeah,
the races were just so awful. Like the events were really awful. But we always had the after hours, and that's what gave birth to the entire Tiny Whoop scene and the entire Tiny Whoop movement. And just to finish what I started to say earlier, it started in a drone house. It started like, and that's the heart of Tiny Whoop culture is after hours activity,
Yeah.
sort of. And that's why I always sort of maintain the casual side of it. Obviously, we've got very serious racing. We were just talking about that at Whooptopia. That side of it's always going to happen. But 99% of Tiny Whoop flying is extremely casual.
Probably
It's
like
not.
90%, I'd say. Give or
Okay,
take.
let's go 90.
Give or
Yeah.
90%.
I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly think way more than half of all Tiny Whoop flying is not freestyle or racing. It's just kind of tooling around.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like the people that show up on my website or hang out in the big Tiny Whoop group on Facebook, they're kind of just tooling around. They're just like exploring and like showing their friends. And
Yeah. And not only that, but I mean, there is a crazy number of people in this hobby that don't even really fly that often. They just like to tinker. They like to take things
That's
apart and mess with PIDs and mess with black box
Yeah.
tuning and everything else under the sun. But then
Exactly.
they don't
Just
even really fly
tinkerers.
them that often. Yeah, they just
Yeah,
like tinkering.
I read this article that was like, there's four kinds. I'm only going to remember three of them. They're like, there's only four kinds of people that are in drones. There's the tinkerer, who all he does is mess around on his bench. There's the gamer, and all he wants to do is fly.
Hmm.
And then there's just the guy with way too much money.
Oh yeah.
Because that was definitely happening in 2016. Like, if you were into technology, that's pretty much where the DJI market came from, and
Yeah.
they are the biggest community.
For sure.
We're over here in FPV, and we're having all the kind of fun that the DJI guys wish they were having. That's why they bought it. That's what they want, and they did it with the excuse that they're gonna make some like real estate photography.
Right.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those guys showed up in the big Tiny Whoop group later on. A lot of those guys sort of saw the Tiny Whoop phenomenon happening and came over and started to be like the tiny Superman. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, even today, there's still, I feel like I've talked about it before, there's still like a lack of understanding in majority of mini quad pilots. It seems they don't understand how fast whoops have moved over the last like 2 years. So some of them tried it a year ago and they're like, oh, they sucked. It's like, well, you should try them now. I mean, things, even since I joined 2 years ago, things have changed like exponentially in that time.
Things are changing really fast, and that's actually a pretty good segue because I think I can talk about this. I'm not 100% certain, but I showed up at my office today, and Peter had accepted a package from DHL, and this is a new HQ propeller that's coming out, and it's a really special propeller. It's a tri-blade prop, and I don't know if you guys know, but I think GemFan props weigh 0.29 grams each.
Okay.
But this is 0.17.
Whoa!
And as you were setting up, I got out my scale and confirmed it. Let me show you this prop. Like it's got about the same pitch. It's strong but flexible, just like you want. And oops, gone in the mess of my desk. I'm gonna find it later.
That's cool though. So
that's the perfect example of technology moving really fast because that means in a couple months, if these things actually perform like they really look like they're going to, and I'll let you know tomorrow, but if they actually perform like they're probably going to, everybody's quad just got lighter again.
Yeah.
Everybody just got that much more flight time and performance again.
And that's not a small amount of weight when you're talking whoops either. That's pretty
big. Times 4. It's times 4 as well. And the thing is, when you remove, this is the whole point, and maybe we'll get into this later, but the whole point of the 702 revolution that took place not too long ago is that you remove weight from the exterior of the quad, and every single tune can maneuver that quad better. Putting the weight in the middle, that is so much better. But when you remove weight from the outside, like you're going to do with these props in a pretty big way, everything gets easier for the quad to do. the tune doesn't need to be as precise, and every change of attitude takes way less effort, and flight starts to feel way more natural and intuitive. So yeah, just like you said, the amount of advances and innovation, that's really the story of the TinyWhoop culture and phenomenon.
Yeah.
Is a huge group of innovators, and all I do is like the entire idea was crowdsourced from the beginning. It's a community of innovators, and now it's for like 4 years. It's been a runaway freight train, and I am not behind the wheel. Nobody's behind the wheel.
No, yeah, it's
No
just
single
rolling.
person could, like I was just an early adopter, but I am not in charge. I can't. Nobody could possibly be in charge of 36,000 people playing and innovating and sharing their ideas and wanting to be on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
And now companies like this guy Zong Zong from HQ Props, he's an awesome innovator, and he's also owns this excellent propeller company. And I can't vouch for these yet because I haven't flown them. I literally picked them up as I showed up at 15 minutes before this interview. Sent me a fat stack of them though.
You.
I'm gonna put them through the test.
Yes, please do, and let us know. Report
Yeah.
back.
But yeah, I mean, it took so long. This original recipe is hodgepodge together from parts that we inherited from old pieces, old equipment, and finally we started to get controllers that were made just for TinyWhoop. And the battery came a long way. The FPV system obviously came a long way. The switch to brushless was really significant, but it's still, there's so much room for growth. And we are in the very early days of a phase of humanity where friends get together and fly tiny robots with goggles on their faces. And that's never going to stop.
Yeah.
There will always be people getting together to fly robots with goggles on their faces.
It's true.
And we can see a lot of room for growth in all these areas.
Definitely.
It's a really exciting time.
I was going to say it's really exciting to be involved in it and just watching it kind of slowly take shape and build itself up. And like you were saying, the more that the community grows, the more minds we bring into it. I mean, there are some really brilliant people just in the TinyWhoop community.
Yeah.
Really brilliant people.
Jumps that we've seen just from like when we got in it. The jumps in technology and everything else it's insane.
Yeah,
From everything, motors and cameras and everything, just in the few years that we've been in it have been astronomically improved, I feel like.
Yep. And every time I do an interview like this, like somebody's watching this video, and they haven't flown yet, and in 2 years from now they will have been a pilot for 2 years, and they'll say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They'll say the same thing about what they've watched technology happen, the way batteries change, the way the entire power system in FPV. Right now we're still flying with only 4 channels each. But did you know that a huge band of 5.8 and a little bit under 5.0 just became, I can't remember I think it's above. I think it's like up to 6.8. I'll pull up the article. Just became available.
Oh,
and
really?
Nobody's making VTXs or VRXs for that yet.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's looking like, the digital revolution is probably what's going to push us to having tons of quads in the air. But even without that, it won't be long before Whooptopia won't be an 80-person event with only 4 channels running.
Right.
It'll be what it should be, way bigger, with a lot more quads in the air together. We'll see the river. See the river of aircraft, all with their little lights on, swarming around,
That's gonna
on the
be
court.
hectic.
I can't wait.
That's gonna be so hectic.
I cannot
Yeah,
wait.
traffic's gonna be so significant at that
Oh
point.
yeah.
We just hit an hour. Let's go ahead and take a quick little intermission. Let's do if anybody
Refill
needs
my
to
drink and
stretch
all.
their legs, refill your drink, go to the bathroom, give Chad a chance to do the same. But yeah, let's take 5 minutes and then we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Alrighty then. Looks like we're back. Somewhat.
Oh, yes, we're back.
And we're back. There it is.
And we're back.
Back.
Hey, while I was gone, I was thinking, we haven't asked you yet, and I did a little bit of diving on your YouTube channels. I saw some old FPV videos, 5 years old, some of them, of yours. And it made me think, I saw, well, first, just a side note, a lot of your stuff that you did years ago seems like some stuff that you could find us doing today. Infinity Loop's doing today, like the ideas you had for some video ideas you did with the TinyWhoops, like flying through pumpkins, flying with the alligators. Like, these are things that I would definitely see OG and I like pitching ideas to each other like this. So I feel like we're kind of in the same vein there. But I wanted to ask, because we have asked everybody this so far, I believe, what is the sketchiest spot you have ever flown that you can think of?
Sketchy meaning dangerous to lose an aircraft, or sketchy meaning illegal?
However you'd like to determine the word.
Interpret it as you will.
Yeah, don't incriminate yourself. But
oh, it's all right. I mean, I won't talk about anything that's not posted.
Okay, there we go.
One that I didn't post for a really long time, and then really felt uneasy after I posted, was the series of flights I did in Paris. Did you guys see the Paris video?
I didn't. No.
No.
In Paris, FPV is completely forbidden. And
Wow.
when I went there, the TinyWhoop FPV Pilots of France group already had 1,000 people in it, and TinyWhoop had taken over France, but zero people would come out and fly with me because they just said it's forbidden and the penalties are really high. But I went out flying a whole bunch and nobody bothered me.
Oh, good.
In fact, I flew at some really iconic places. I have a friend that dove the Eiffel Tower, but I didn't have the guts to do that. I flew around under the Eiffel Tower, and you can see it in my footage. But the big flights that I'm, the video is called "Swooning in Paris." It's the part of the TinyWhoop Euro Tour 2016.
Okay.
And I flew some really, really cool places, like all around the outside of the Louvre. And I flew all over. It's not impressive flights, it's 2016 TinyWhooping, so. But I flew all over the Notre Dame many years before it burned. And really, really special flight there.
That's so crazy.
And yeah, there was I flew at a clock tower in a museum, like behind the hands of a giant clock. That video still shakes me up to watch it, and it was a really, really special flight, and by far the most illegal thing. But then I also did a series in Hong Kong. I think it was called "Whooping the Vertical City," and it was a 4-part series. And the first one that went out, I was flying this mall. I did 2 days of flight in that mall with Trappy. Both days Trappy went there with me, and he was the guy that was like my watchdog or whatever, and he caught the whoop at the end, so he's in the video. But I flew this mall, and it was the year of the rooster. It was Chinese New Year and the year of the rooster, so there's this giant rooster statue covered in gold sequins that I was skating all over, flying through this giant cage they had lifted off of it, and really just like saying hi to all these people on the balcony, because the mall was shaped like a sort of like a kidney bean, but it was like 9 stories tall with an atrium in the middle. So I was just swooping around in the middle, but then flying up to the edge and saying hi to the kids or whatever.
That's cool.
And that video got picked up by one of the Hong Kong tabloids, and it like changed my really fun, happy. You remember all my early music's like acapella silly shit? Yeah. They changed it to like some really dark, scary music. They showed a picture of a DJI Inspire, not even a Phantom.
No.
Showed an Inspire. And they made it look like I was doing all these crazy flights. I went into the food court and buzzed all the people in the food court.
Oh my god.
And then I flew like down into the bottom of the courtyard through the tents, like the vendor tents.
Oh, that's so ridiculous.
swiped up past this mother holding a child, nowhere near unsafe. You
Yeah.
know, not unsafe at all.
Right.
But they paused on the screen
Oh.
and zoomed in and made it look like I was close to this baby's face.
Oh my god.
They're playing this dark music, and on the screen they're like showing. Anyway, it really pissed off tons and tons of people in Hong Kong, and I got a call from I got an email from the Hong Kong equivalent of the FAA, and
Oh,
that was the
shit.
first
Oh,
of a
Jesus.
that was the first of a 4-part series. I flew in all. They have really unbelievable malls in Hong Kong with giant art.
Mhm.
There's another video I put out called Tornado Dancing, where I'm flying through this huge art that is a tornado that's like 10 stories tall or whatever.
Oh, that's insane.
But
Lord.
I got this email, and they were like, "You can never ever do that again, and your status in Hong Kong is questionable, and you probably should never come back." And I just sent an email back saying, "Okay, I'm really, really sorry. That was super stupid. Oh, I was so dumb. I'm really sorry. And by the way, what laws did I break? Because this is the aircraft, and just tell me what laws I broke." And I never heard back from them.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Yeah.
broke any laws. I just think that this tabloid got so much traction because the video came out. It's called The Year of the Rooster.
Okay.
It's on the TinyWhoop channel years back. It's called The Year of the Rooster. It got a lot of views, but nowhere near as many views as the tabloid, because they made it look like they showed a picture of an Inspire, and it had like all these comments on the screen, like, "Do not like," "angry," "do not like." Or
Mhm.
it's had like really bad
Translations of it.
English, yeah. So that one was not at all the most sketchy place, but by far pissed off the most people.
Okay. What would you say was the scariest spot? Like where you were in the goggles flying and were just like one of those moments, those puckered butthole moments.
I mean, there's a series on the channel called One Way Whoop where I have lost.
I've seen the
many
one where you
aircraft.
lost it in the sky.
Yeah.
And by the way, that fucking song was stuck in my head for like 3 days afterwards. I just kept
Yeah. listening
to the One Way Whoop song. It's so catchy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There's I think 5 or 6 of them, and I actually just told Bach Grinder I'm gonna send him a couple to do one-way whoops with, because he will just eat that up. Bach Grinder was an early adopter of TinyWhoop, and he would just like go to a grocery store and just stand there and fly until they kicked him out. 'Cause
Yeah, the
he does not
gorilla
give a fuck.
whooping, yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck at all. I love that about him.
Yeah.
And, Trappy always talked me into those things in Hong Kong. I'd be like, "Oh man, I don't know. I just really, I'm not comfortable." And he's like, "Nobody cares here. You don't understand because you're from America, but nobody cares here. Nobody cares at all." So he talked me into all kinds.
And that's like
of...
the most caring that's ever happened with any of your flying.
yeah. Yeah, but I was
That's
doing
funny.
all kinds
Literally
of crazy
getting
stuff.
kicked out of a country.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I've, so all my best and sketchiest flights are when I had someone to really talk me into it.
Okay.
But I never was the kind of guy like Bach Grinder who could show up in a grocery store alone and just stand there and just not give a fuck like how many mothers or weird managers or Karens want to get pissed off. Like he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Well,
I
I guess
have
when you got a forehead tattoo, you're probably used to getting them. looked at already,
exactly. It's like probably
pair
the
of
best
goggles?
reason to get a face tat.
Yep.
Teach yourself not to give a fuck at all.
Yeah.
But I had one that went down in the middle of the lake. I lost one on top of a rooftop in New York City. That was one of the sketchiest ones because it was a government building.
Oh shit.
And I was there flying in 2016 in Lower Manhattan, and I was my hotel was on the 30th floor, and I was there with Pisha and Nelson from MultiGP at the time. He later went on to work on the DRL sim, but Chris Thomas, the owner and creator of MultiGP, was there checking out the event I was flying at, and every night we would go out and do tiny whooping in Manhattan, and it was really, really fun. It's another series I put out on the channel. I'm not trying to name drop all the time, but if you want to see it, it's called
please.
Whooping the Big Apple. It's like a 3-part series, and it's hilarious.
And I believe
Now-
all of your links, I should have, for anybody wondering, they're all down in the description.
Yeah, TinyWhoop YouTube channel. It's been dormant for a long time right now because I had to do, I just now hired Nightwing. Nightwing is now Peter works here. but it's been all me for a long time. So I have done like zero content
Yeah.
for a really long time. But
That's what, hey, I'd love to see you do more. The ideas
Getting
that
there.
you had back when you were doing videos, like I said, there's a lot of familiarity there that I see with us, and like kind of the shit that we would
cool.
want to do. No, it's cool to us. It's cool to see. I'm
You should talk some ideas even on the show if you want, because I've got
I'm
some
so down.
really sweet ones right now that I'm
so
working
down.
on. But let me finish this thing. I'm in New York, and I flew out the window twice. And again, the 38th floor skyscraper, and it is a one-way whoop video. The first flight, get to the bottom, and Chris Thomas was always down there waiting for me. He's a close friend of mine, one of my mentors, and just a hilarious person. And he was the one talking me into this time. The second time I went out the window, first of all, Pisha was like, that was a bad dive. I don't know if you guys remember Pisha, but he was a really big deal early on. And I looked up to him a ton, and this is when TinyWhoop was brand new. Nobody in the world knew who I was, but Pisha, the celebrity, was sitting in my hotel room. He was like, Jesse, that was a bad dive. You have to do it again.
Oh, gotta do it then.
So I went out one more time, and flying an Inductrix flight controller in acro mode is a joke. Okay, these things they have acro mode. It's not controllable.
Yeah,
at all.
it's not recommended.
So,
it's more of like a
especially when you're going fast. You go like down 2 out of the 38 stories, and you have no control, and you can fight it. You can see me fighting it. But, so I hit the corner of this rooftop and landed upside down. This is like 4 years before turtle mode.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So Chris Thomas is on the phone with me on speakerphone the whole time, and he put the phone in his pocket. He is, he's a really funny guy, and he went into this building, this government building, and just said, we crashed a drone on your roof. And they were like they were all flustered immediately about it, because you can't fly drones in New York City.
Yeah.
But at that time was really it was the time where, like, if you got on the elevator in a hotel and you had a drone strapped on the outside of your back, someone said to me, "Is that one of those spy drones?" It was just completely the word drone was a really bad word back then, and we didn't think it was going to catch on. We didn't think drone was going to be the word we settled on, because it had such an awful connotation.
It still bugs me. It still bugs me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I say it. It's just still, though.
Yeah.
I still
feel the
prefer saying like
exact same
quadcopter.
way.
Or,
Me too, because drone at that time was like also very political and very murder weapon.
driven.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so these guys were really upset with Chris, who was associated with the drone that crashed on the roof. He was also a very smooth talker, and I was convinced Chris was bullshitting this whole story. I was like, that is not a government building, and he's acting the whole thing out on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Just could not believe, because he's the kind of guy that actually would do that. You know what I mean?
Just like pull a
he
little
would
gag
fake
on
the
you.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So I went down and walked into this building and went up to the front desk, and I was like, I was just coming in, and the guy didn't even let me finish my sentence. He was like holding his earbud on his ear and wearing a suit, and he's like, "Sir, we're working on it. We're sending someone up to the roof right now." And I realized that it was like Chris had not been lying.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna wait outside," and I just dipped. That was one of the first one-way whoops that felt really sketchy. But I also went down in a lake. I got stuck in a building in Salt Lake City. I got lost in the sky in that.
I was gonna say getting lost in the sky has to be pretty terrifying. I think just
That was
going
a
up in the
spot-
middle of the night.
I did it every single day, and I'd go up, look down, go up, look down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was what I did. But that flight, I didn't. It was like,
you just
I
shot
know this
straight up,
neighborhood. I know the lights. I know exactly where I'm going, and I was addicted to just going to the top of the sky, way, way, way up.
Yeah.
But there was a really strong breeze that night.
Yeah.
And
You were up there.
just really could not. You can see in the video, like, I pinpoint where my house was.
I saw. Yeah. You put a little arrow up, which is
that
crazy that
thing,
you could
man.
even spot it in the footage back to tell where you were.
Totally. If I had been calm, I would have been able to figure it out. But I panicked immediately.
Sure, I would
just
too.
never got it
Pitch
back.
black
Oh,
out,
when-
and you're just
yeah.
up in the sky.
And when you
Yeah.
get up and you look down at the ground when you're under the goggles and stuff does not look the same
No,
Yeah.
up in the air.
But-
So everybody's had that moment where you look down and you're like, oh fuck.
I don't.
But
remember where
I
am.
solved the
Where am I
problem
supposed
now.
to be? Yeah.
Solved the problem because I've got, I have a massive selection of LEDs in every color, and I had my LED guy make a beacon that does pulse, 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 pause.
Nice.
Pulse, pulse,
Oh, that's
pulse,
cool.
pause.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is plug it into a TinyWhoop battery and set it on your car or something. You're good.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
That's
it's-
Little landing light.
It's a little 5x5 millimeter LED, and
Yeah.
it's enough. So
That's one
part of the
thing
kit now.
that I also, another little side street I'd love to just take a walk down quickly, is your I don't want to say your obsession, but you always tend to have like these cool little LED projects that I've noticed, and these little like one cell projects. Were you the one who did the Furby?
I get
Yes.
it's right
A
here.
Furby.
You want to see the Furby?
Of course.
It's
Who
so
doesn't want to see
creepy.
the Furby?
It's so creepy. I've seen Furby too much in my life.
Oh God, he's got a bunch of them.
It's so creepy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like a half a
This
dozen
is the
Furbies.
famous one. I got a big. This is a bag full of Furby pelts, and I'm gonna turn it into a onesie.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
This is like a knockoff Furby dog. This one hasn't been skinned yet. This one has been
Jesus.
skinned, but still has its plastic shell. I just did that yesterday. And this one is the original Obsession Furby because I removed one of its eye screens and put in one of those watch screens.
Yeah.
Watch
Yeah.
FPV screens, which has an awesome receiver in it, by the way.
Yeah.
So this thing can dance around and sing, look around with one eye, and you can try to fly through the other eye, which has led to some really funny games.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So the Furby, and the Furby, I don't know if you know this, but it's discontinued now. So like that's the reason I bought up these two, is because this is awesome technology. It's like really, learning AI
Yeah.
that can pay attention to you and respond to you and like develop a personality or whatever and develop like more of its language or something if you talk to it right. But it's now discontinued and there's not really anything taking its place yet. Obviously there will be. AI toys are the thing of the future.
Oh yeah,
Oh boy.
These things
Wait for
are
that.
really cool.
they are pretty neat. So the LEDs and all that, it always felt like when you pimp out like an old Nokia phone. Do you remember those, the
Yeah.
original Nokia phones? You put the clear case on and put all the LEDs in them and everything. It always made me
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that. Searching through the TinyWhoop store and seeing like all the little LEDs and stuff that you saw. But I love that. I think that's like something that's missing still that I think TinyWhoop delivers a lot is it's fun. Like it's fun to fly them, but like fun stuff like to dress your whoop up a little bit and kind of like I don't know, take some
Definitely.
of the serious ingenuity out of it and just make
They look good, and like the entire Deadlock team coming to Whooptopia just made a purchase of LEDs yesterday,
Mhm.
and I've got these harnesses now that are made of LEDs that are 0.6 millimeters by 0.3 millimeters, incredibly tiny LEDs
Yeah.
on incredibly tiny magnet wire. The entire 4 LED harness with all the lengths of wire weighs less than a quarter of a gram.
Damn.
And I don't know if you'll be able to see. I put them all in the middle.
oh yeah,
This one,
yeah.
it's just gonna blink. But I put them in the middle because I realized that's more family friendly than putting them on the outside. Parents preferred the drone to look smaller.
I see.
This one I was using at the pumpkin patch.
I
This
see,
is
I
the one
see.
I was ripping. But yeah,
That's true. I never thought about that because like I know Blue Jay always runs LED lights on the outside of his ducts, like on his race rigs, and like
that's how most of
racing
mine are.
in a heat with him, like his whoop looks bigger.
Everybody always says I'm blowing up the size, and it's a bigger aircraft, but it is. Up with LEDs on their quad. I know Wes Person's showing up with more LEDs on his quad. They look good and they're super light now.
Well,
But,
OG is the one who originally pointed out that you had them on your website, and I ordered
I got some
some.
a while ago.
Yeah, I ordered some right after OG did. I put them on the original Mob Thick, and I flew them with. I flew them in my garage with all the lights off, and flew the mobility gates with the LEDs in them, and then I
Yeah.
used your headlights on the front of the Whoop.
Headlights.
Yeah, it
Did
was
you
sick.
see? Did you see the headlight beam narrower?
I did
did
see
see
it.
that.
Yeah, I haven't
There's
gotten
one.
it yet, but
Does it work? Does it work good? Because that's like I
It
put
works
mine.
really good.
Because that's the biggest issue that I had with them. I was trying to do some late night like woods cruising,
Well, look at
and
here's
you just gotta get right up on a tree or whatever.
you got
for
like
the light
6
to
feet
reflect
without the
off.
narrower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I do one that's like this is 180 degrees,
okay,
and this one which is narrowed to like 30 degrees.
okay.
And when you do that, you can see way farther.
So you got like
And-
high beam,
and,
low
You
beam.
know, you get up close, you can see all the periphery, but this puts like a circle in the middle of your field of view where
Yeah.
you can see way further. Looks
Ooh.
like, I mean, these are, I just bought every flashlight insert I could find on Alibaba and
Yeah.
landed on this one. This is the one and still, I think 4 people have ever ordered this product.
How much do they weigh?
1 point something grams. Want me to weigh one?
If you don't mind, I'll order them right
No,
now.
no,
Yeah, because
let me grab one.
I need to
Yeah.
try
I
something
mean-
with those.
I'll send you one. They're cheap. Let me grab one just a sec.
Well, let me make
Yeah.
number 5 on the ordering. Oh man, yeah, we need to do like some night video using those headlights.
Yeah, we do like a night, even like a nighttime, like follow the leader.
So I was just about to say like a night
Video.
chase video would be fun.
Yeah, be cool.
My
Try to
favorite is
chase you
still
through the
just
woods.
flying in the trees.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 1.9.
1.9
This
is
thing's-
workable.
Yeah.
That's still not bad.
Yeah, that's workable because my Whoop's pretty thick, but it doesn't weigh very much these days. I can spare I think 3 grams before I really start losing
Yeah.
performance.
I mean, for tree weaving, and I put it on this 2S quad, which you can't feel it.
oh
you know,
yeah, I'm sure you didn't feel that
I'm
at all.
sure. Yeah.
So this one's got 1002s on it. But, the whole point of headlights was tree weaving, flying in the trees at night
Oh,
because
it's so
there
cool.
you've got the proximity.
Right.
It's an awesome alien feeling. You definitely lose sense of the ground.
Mhm.
It's so easy to not know which way is which way.
Yeah.
And that is like awesome immersion.
Well, I put in your intro. I put that clip from the LED tree that you recently. It was one of the more recent videos, at least, posted.
Yeah.
Of you flying around that, and that's really neat.
Yeah, I got so lucky, first of all, the entire city of Las Vegas is within 5 miles of an airport,
Yeah.
and I got permission to fly that by one of the people who built that tree. It's called the Tree of Tender, and it was created by an artist called Studio Drift, the same people that have done the most impressive swarm art with drones.
Yeah.
Studio Drift, everybody should be following them on Instagram, in my opinion, because drone art is probably the cool. Flight is really important to me, but the art that they're doing with drone swarms is maybe
That's
the coolest
insane.
thing.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Insane. Yeah.
yeah. I'm a big fan.
So
So yeah, the Tree of Tender.
speaking of your favorite things, what's your favorite trick to do? Would you say acro trick?
Well,
What's like your
I,
go-to?
probably just power looping.
Power loops?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Matty flips?
Maybe a little bit of Matty flips.
Maybe. Maybe a little bit.
I'm not as good at Matty flips, but I can do them.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just
for
writing.
sure.
I'm just taking some notes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, just jotting some notes down.
But yeah, I'm not a big acro guy. I have the discussion all the time about how I think angle mode is really important,
For sure.
and the biggest reason it agrees better with the human brain, just in a very short nutshell, is everything that the human body, everything the brain has ever used the body to do, has had a really strong reference point to gravity in the body itself. In acro mode, your only reference point to gravity is with your eyeballs.
Yeah.
And in angle mode, you at least have it on one of your fingertips,
Right.
or both of your or just one of them, I guess. and that is like really important to me. But you know, I love acro, and you can see in a lot of my videos I fly acro.
Yeah.
I got, you know, I started out flying acro. I flew mini quads, obviously before TinyWhoop was a thing, and that was all acro. But now, even when I fly, this is my latest TinyWhoop. Even when I'm flying something like this,
Mm.
I want to fly in angle mode.
Oh, okay.
You really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do any
I mean,
angle anymore.
yeah, I still race and I race in A.
But I definitely
else.
see the.
Everything else I do is
I
acro.
used it, you know, for maybe 3 or 4 months when I was getting started flying. It's extremely important though to get people in. It's a big. It cuts your frustration in half by like 50% by just putting angle mode on and being able to fly.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, you are a acro master.
Oh well, thank you. I just
You
fly a
have
lot.
unbelievable skills. Yeah, you fly a ton. You're always, my phone is always blowing up, and it's you going live. It's crazy how much time you spend with the sticks.
Yeah, it's my zen. It's like my little peaceful place. So every night I have a chance. I have a family. I have busy days and it's chaotic and stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing, by the way.
Thank
You know
you.
that you have all that time to do that on top of being a daddy and a hubby.
Hey man, it's as you know, it's so much fun that the drive. I mean, I see everything else that I do during my day as like that's like work to me, but this is just fun. This is like this is my zen. This is my happy place.
Yeah,
So-
you obviously are extremely comfortable upside down and at a high camera angle mode, like Maddie style flying.
I'm actually I don't fly high camera angle at all. I'm 15 degrees on everything.
Really?
Yeah, 15 degrees on everything. I'm damn near flat. Everything, TinyWhoop, Whoop, 5-inch, toothpicks, everything is set like between 10 and 15 degrees for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Have you
that
messed
usually,
with high camera angle?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
so, you know, when I say Maddie style flying, what I mean is high camera angle. I mean, like using a high camera angle plus the comfort of moving in a weird direction or just being inverted or trippy spinning, or I don't know what do you call a rolling trippy spin?
Just a roller and trippy spin, I guess.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Yeah. Somebody called it a cyclone once. There's like been a couple other weird names. But
Well, Cyclone is a Sabang move, isn't it? Don't they? Or what do they call that? Where you do like a juicy flick and then you roll back into it? I thought that was a Cyclone. Maybe that's called something else. Who knows?
hip to them.
They're all
I'm
making
not
up
hip.
names anyways.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just fly and do what I want to do. I don't care what it's called. Really,
But you should try some extremely high camera angle, man.
I'll try
You
it
should
again.
do like
I just
a week of high camera angle and just see if you can mess with people, because that's what Matty Stunts did.
Mm-hmm.
He just made it look like he was doing impossible things. He impressed pilots way more than he ever impressed non-pilots.
yeah,
you know?
true. Yeah.
But it's really really cool, and I've done a bunch of it. You know, I fly every camera angle, and one of my early videos was with a 65-degree camera angle.
No shit.
And you can just have so much fun with perspective. You know, just just orbiting your own body with the back of your quad facing your body is just super fun, because you can see you got a point of reference the whole time.
Yeah.
And that gets to be really really fun.
I'll tinker around with it. This will be the second
just a
time.
toy.
This will be the second time though that you have suggested I try a higher camera angle. I ordered some the pound mounts from you, and you sent me a like 30 or 35 degree one, and you were like, try the high mount, because I had ordered like a 10 and a 15 degree. Like,
That's
double
cool.
it.
Good.
Which I did try, but it's fast as shit. That's probably more OG speed. I prefer the slow flying, I guess, for the most part.
Cool.
OG is the speedy one.
Nice.
What about you? You said you mess with all different types of angles, but do you have a preference? Do you prefer the?
I mean, here's what I'm flying right now. What is that?
yeah, it's
30.
flat.
But that's
That's not 30.
See, here's 45.
Okay, yeah.
I'm over.
Yeah, you're like 25, 30.
Yeah, maybe it's 20. Maybe it could be 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like this is like 30,
Oh, we
30
can't.
35 right here.
We can
Yeah, you're not
barely
gonna be
see
able to
it.
see. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot.
I can see it. I
It's
can
all
see it.
shit on the stream.
No, it looks good. I mean,
But
this is my So whatever that is.
Pretty. That's a fair
yeah,
amount.
I guess that's more than yeah.
That's a fair amount. That's way more than I would use.
And
Yeah.
this one's almost flat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
TinyWhoops.
yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah. Yep.
So normally, looks like fairly steep.
Probably
then.
20.
Yeah.
Let's say 20, 25.
Okay, I guess that's not that
Yeah.
steep. That's pretty average.
Yeah. In the sim, it's more. In the sim, I play to 35 or something. But yeah, I like all camera angles, and I'm trying to. I did one at 90 degrees. I have another series. Not trying to name drop my extinct
Please
YouTube
do.
channel.
Please. It's good
But called
content. It
Trees-
doesn't matter if it's extinct or not.
I mean, just been dormant. I have a series called Treescapes, where I fly in all the greatest trees of the world. And when I was flying the giant sequoia, I put a camera at 90 degrees because you can just fly up through the branches for 300 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
just
absurd.
weaving your way through, and you kind of get used to how pitch and roll feel different.
Yeah.
You're just laying on your back. You know?
Yeah.
That's how it feels. It's so cool.
That is really neat.
But then getting down was hell.
Oh yeah, I bet.
bet.
Just smack it into things.
Pretty much have to
Can't see them.
look down, try to catch it, look down. This is in the
God.
brush days.
Oh
you know?
god.
Oh God, yeah, that was probably a nightmare.
Yeah, but I never lost one there.
That's pretty
Really
impressive.
Fun flying. Really fun flying.
Well, we need to do something together then, because you sound like like I said, you're right up the same alley as we are. It sounds like in the same vein where going out and flying is one thing, but going out and flying like a cool spot or doing something really sketchy or different is way more fun and way more appealing.
That's
I
one
completely
thing we
agree.
haven't really done a whole lot of on the channel is like sketchy spots.
Yeah, we do need more sketchy spots.
I
Yeah,
could
we need some
sponsor.
sketchy spots.
I could sponsor. Well, depending what you mean by sketchy, because I can't sponsor anything unsafe or illegal.
Well, we wouldn't want to do anything
Oh,
unsafe
no,
or
we wouldn't
illegal.
do that.
No.
Of
Yeah.
course, who breaks the law?
Yeah, no,
Nobody.
we don't do that.
That's not cool.
No, yeah. Laws are
kidding.
meant to
It's
be
a-
followed.
Laws
Yes.
are
That's
meant
what
to be
I
followed.
say.
But like I'm trying to do with Bot Grinder, I have enough old gear to sponsor sketchy projects.
Yeah. I'd be down for some sketchy projects. I
Yeah,
love
I'm
sketchy
always
projects.
down for sketchy projects.
And
yeah.
I also think that right now, one thing that is very hype all over YouTube, and this is the kind of thing that can break outside of the FPV viewership, is challenges. Challenge between two people about flying, and there is some FPV content in the video, but let's make it about the people and about the challenge itself and about the sketchiness and the awkwardness. Then I think that there's that's the kind of thing I really want to focus on as I start to get back into content is the stories that are really, really fun, but have a strong appeal to people that are outside FPV, because that was my early goals in the TinyWhoop channel, and it worked. Like a ton of people showed up. I have one video with 300,000 views, and there's not that many people. Just a lot of people that wanted to watch it, and they were not pilots, and a lot of them still aren't, obviously, but
Yeah.
they
enjoyed it though. They went and watched it.
that's the mission of TinyWhoop is to get more people exposed to it, and it's kind of an easy time of Earth's existence to do that.
True, yeah.
Because there's still an unbelievable amount of people who have just never been exposed to it, and if they would want to fly.
For sure. Every one of my friends, like my adult friends that these are guys I grew up with. So like we all had played a bunch of video games and played with RC cars or whatever when we were kids.
Yeah.
But anytime I show them what I'm playing with now, they're like, that's insane. Like that's nuts. How do I get it? How expensive is it
they
to get
want
into
it.
it? Yeah, they always start asking, all the questions start coming out. Where do I go to look for this stuff? Is there any good channels I should research?
And everywhere I go, I'm talking about the gift of flight, and people love those words, because
I added it into the intro. I took a clip of you saying it. You got to go back and watch the intro.
I got to watch the beginning of intro with no sound, but then I was like, oh, this is 45 seconds late.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be on any second.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll send you the file so you can actually watch it. But yeah, I put that's what we ended with, was you saying that. I found a clip of you. I don't remember where. Somewhere online, I found a clip of you saying that in an interview, and I was like, "Oh, that's such a good line to end the intro with." So yeah, it's funny that's exactly what I used.
I mean, yeah, and so I always mention that, and that hooks people, and then I also always tell everyone, because I think it's true, that when you start flying, it just the biggest thing that turns someone off to flying when they start flying is that it feels hella awkward.
Yeah,
it feels like. Especially women. It's not to be sexist. But
no,
I think the biggest thing that's turning off women from flying is it just instantly feels like something that you're not good at.
Right.
It's like not your thing.
Right, yeah.
And it felt like that for me. It felt like that for you
everybody,
guys.
Yeah.
It felt like that for Jordan Temkin. I watched it.
Yeah.
And that's just the fact of life. Humans and FPV, it's a mind fuck.
It really is.
To fly with FPV goggles when your body's sitting still, motionless.
Yeah.
Look at the racing pilots. They're doing such an unbelievable thing with their brains, and their body is sitting there motionless.
Well,
it's not natural.
If you've seen OG fly,
I'm not exactly motionless.
He's not very motionless,
but relatively motionless.
Right. Yeah,
you're like on the thrill ride of your life, but you're not booking it.
Yeah.
You're not going. Your body's not pumping every one of its
you're just
systems. It's really unnatural in some ways.
It is, yeah.
But it's also extremely natural, and like Jordan said in the early days, you were always meant to fly. In spite of that feeling, in spite of the feeling that this is something really unnatural, and like I usually say it's a 4-hour learning curve or something, but it's actually less than that. I tell 4 hours just to manage expectations.
Yeah. Aim high.
But if you fuck around for an hour, you're probably going to be able to move between rooms.
Sure.
How long would it take someone to sit on a sim before they could? Keep it upright. Not that long. Not an hour, probably.
Yeah, no.
So, but in the beginning, it's really, really weird. And if you don't try in a sim first, it's like stronger weirdness.
Yeah.
It's weirder than that even. It really feels like people say all the time, I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's something I'm good at. The way some people like me, I'm not good at chess. I struggle with chess or whatever. I've tried to get into a couple times, so maybe I'll use that language. I don't think that might be true for something like chess, but I don't think that's actually true for FPV. I really think anybody can learn to do it, and I also really think it always feels really, really awkward
for
in the beginning.
I think so
and
too.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Just weird and wrong.
OG may remember this. He may remember the guy's name. I don't remember his name now, and I wish I would remember it better. But when OG and Malty got me into flying last, I was like the last one out of the three of us that got into it, and we were flying in liftoff, and there was a guy in the lobby with us, and I don't remember his name now. But my biggest issue when I started flying was I didn't want to leave, which is so funny because I love flying upside down now, but I didn't want to leave level. I thought everything had to be done like a plane. So I was flying my quad like a plane. I wouldn't leave that horizon. And then I remember I asked Malty or OG, how do I spectate other people? Because one of them were watching me. And I spectated this guy. I can't remember his name now. His name's on one of the buildings in liftoff in the Bando stage.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of what it was.
I can't remember what his name is, but he flies liftoff a ton, or at least he used to. And I went to watch him, and he went from the spawn point on the top of the building and flipped off and just looked back, did a look back, like up inverted look back as soon as he took off.
Yep.
As soon as I saw him do it, I was like, oh, just like a light bulb came on. I was like, I can go upside down. I can go all different directions. Why am I staying like I'm a plane? I can go everywhere. So then I started experimenting with just trying to get upside down.
That's a perfect example.
That's all it took, though. I just had to see that it was possible. I had to see that somebody else was doing it. I was like, oh, okay, now I see. Like I'm
Be exposed to it.
right. Yeah, I'm kind of like limiting myself here. I need to just kind of just send it, and then I did, and it was it's like you were saying. It was like
Cool.
maybe an hour or so of tinkering around with that until I felt comfortable enough to just
Yeah.
at least be able to cruise around.
I always tell people 4 hours, and then I tell them that the payoff is really, really huge because it's flying like your dreams and all that.
It is.
Because it is.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep
So-
interrupting, but OG, do you have anything? I'm not. My bad. I'm
No,
chatting
no,
a
no,
bunch.
no, you're good. I'm just chilling. I'm just learning, sitting here learning. But yeah, I mean, I still think the sim is the number one. I see
It's
people
really
asking all the
important to
time about how to get better, how to improve everything. I'm like, sim, get on the sim. There's no fear of breaking anything, no fear of getting up and chasing your quad down. I was just telling somebody about it the other day. I can kind of credit my initial learning curve jump in flying to the sim because I ate a pot brownie one day and sat on liftoff for like 6.5 hours, and it was like my jumping skills from before that day to after that day was so noticeable, and I was like, and I kind of never put the sim down after that.
That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you this. You guys ever use finger condoms?
No.
No.
Orange Stuff, I'm about to like make it one of my, I'm making a sticker for it. I'm going to start putting it in some of my packages or whatever. But Orange Stuff turned me onto it via Peter. He's simming all the time, and he was chewing up his thumbs.
Oh,
He
yeah.
started wearing those little bandage finger condoms.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried those yet. But yeah, I
Said
definitely
they're great.
I definitely tear my
Yeah.
thumbs up a bunch.
See,
Yeah.
I used the Grand Lotus stick ends, and they're kind of wider, so thumbs don't really ever get torn up.
Okay,
Aren't you special?
that's good.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
these pointy bastards on mine.
Yeah, I don't like the pointy ones.
Yeah, mine are sharp too.
I can't fly without them though. Although I do want to try these new ones that I've seen TinyWhoop has.
Birds.
Do you
the
pinch?
Birds aren't real ones?
No,
birds
I'm thumb.
Thumb too.
Do
Yeah,
they-
Bert started making those. He designed them, and he's designed like I requested some that are like I want a small tip, but lots of grip on there.
Mhm.
That means sharpness because I
Yeah.
don't want. I tried using these. He designed these ones that are like giant balls,
Mhm.
and if you
Oh,
use
yeah.
those, you like if you do 2 circles with your thumb, you're on the side of that ball.
Yeah,
You
Mm-hmm.
know, your thumb just travels over to the side.
yeah.
I was like, okay, that means what I really want as a thumber is a pincher stick, a really thin tipped pincher stick with lots of grip on it,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying now.
Okay.
After you know,
Well, let me know what you
After-
land on, which ones you like. I want to try them too.
cool.
I just need to find something that doesn't destroy my thumbs as easily.
Yeah, I feel like I had, at least with racing, not as much with freestyle, but with racing especially, I had more problems with my thumbs traveling over the stick with using the smaller,
Oh, really?
bigger ones. Yeah.
See
I don't know.
the-
I kind of like that's why I like the Grand Lotus style because I can kind of. I don't know. I don't push down super hard, so I can kind of rotate my thumb one a little better versus
Yeah.
the sharp ones. I don't push down super hard because I don't want to. I don't know. I just have never been a very like grippy person on the sticks, and
Yeah,
I would
and-
just find losing my spot.
I haven't used stock sticks in a long time, but I just bought the longest set of sticks I could have because I have big hands, and I think that if you're a thumber, you really benefit from long sticks. I don't know how you feel about that, Heads.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I do
I
think
guarantee you they're not as long as the stick ends that we used. at
Well,
one
yeah,
time,
the
so.
longest stick ends are ridiculous.
oh.
I don't know if you ever
Well,
saw that, but that's like another
didn't.
Tiny Whoop idea video. Go ahead, what you were saying.
That's
my bad.
good. That's good. I think that if you're pinching, you have a little more resolution and control than a thumber. And one of the ways that I got around that was just to back way out and have
see.
more motion
I see.
for my sticks to get more resolution out of it.
We
but-
we threaded some dowel rods that were like, I don't even know how long those were. Probably 3 feet long.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
So you're doing
they're-
this.
Yeah, the radio was on the floor.
Yeah,
Oh
I set
my
the radio on
God,
the
I
floor and I
missed
was
this
holding them
one.
up. This,
OG
yeah.
armed
Dude,
it with
that's
his
good.
toe. He had to arm the radio with his toe, and then he flew around the basement and angle with the sticks
That
like
seems like a really, other than the point where they're always running into
right
each
where
other.
they crisscross. Yeah.
That seems like it'd be a really fun game at a Tiny Whoop event.
Well, we have some
Oh, it
other
would.
ideas for it to take it even further, but that's gonna take some
We
getting.
never did it.
That's
We
gonna
never
take some
did it,
doing.
but- Yeah.
No, I'm pretty
One of
curious.
these days, we'll make longer stick ends.
Yeah,
But
well,
we
the hardest part about it was the resolution because we got so much movement. So like, you're doing this to get from zero throttle to full throttle. So trying to like modulate everything, I was just bouncing around and stuff. It was more difficult than I thought it would be, but it was.
So you got to tear a transmitter apart.
Yes, that's the idea. That's the idea. Yeah,
Well,
transmitter
the
apart
You
original-
had two of those.
and
Imagine if
much
you had
longer.
two transmitters. It wouldn't take too much, like a 3D printed thing, or maybe just a piece of wood. Just get
Yeah,
a big
that was-
piece of wood
Mhm.
and
Literally
extend some
that was
wires,
it.
right?
Yep.
And then just bring two of those to Whooptopia. We should do this.
Yeah.
Bring two of those
Yeah.
to Whooptopia and just have like a game at Whoop House where we make two pilots use those sticks.
I like it. I like that
Just
idea.
put some money on the table. I don't know.
Our
like-
original idea was to make a whoop fly using two separate whoops. So one whoop would be in the air, and that would be bound to a radio that we tore apart and had the gimbals mounted on a board, and then there were whoops attached to long sticks on top
Oh
of
my
those.
God.
And so we would try to steer the two whoops and then make that fly the third whoop. That was the idea,
That is
and
so
that's how we
genius.
got to the longest stick ends videos. We were extending the gimbal sticks to attach the whoops to the top two,
Man.
Yeah.
and we were like, "Wait a minute, this would be really good if we just made these even longer." And then
my
it just
God.
snowballed from there.
So that's two pilots, one quad
yes,
with three quads.
yes, with three, yeah,
Yeah.
That would be really, really funny.
yeah.
I think that is a genius idea.
It's just
I'm
the physics of it are difficult. That's
So
the
we
part
had
we're
some
still.
kinks. So we were testing it and we found that like if you would go like full stick,
It would pendulum.
it would kind
You
of.
know what would help is headless mode. Oh, I see what you're saying though with pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
If you had headless mode, you could even not look at the quad that's controlling the stick. Headless mode, I mean like no matter which way it's facing, back is towards you, forward is away from you. So even if it starts to drift yaw-wise,
Yeah,
then you could have that would work. That would work.
yeah.
And
It's
a toy quad with headless mode.
It's taken some doing, and it will take more
So
to get
cool.
it done. But yeah, that was one of them. Was the longest stick ends.
Everybody in FPV would watch that flick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I bet
Every person in
was
FPV
fun.
would watch that flick.
the
it's a
first
big
one was
audience.
fun, but I'll make a bigger one. We'll make longer
Yeah.
stick ends.
Yeah, we've got Discord channel on top of Discord channel with just different types of ideas.
Yeah, there's like a
that we
whole
wanna do.
private Discord that we have between the three of
Yeah.
us.
Cool.
That's just flooded with ideas for shit.
Well, one of the things I want to really do, I'm trying to revive the Tiny Whoop Invitational and make it, because it's been gone since before pandemic, and make it a open race. This is the first I've talked about it publicly, so I'm kind of hesitating a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to happen. It's like very early idea stages. Make it an open race and make most of it a scavenger hunt. Like a lot, because nobody except AK can bring 80 pilots together and everybody has a good time.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But if you had 100 pilots, you still only got 4 channels. But what if most of the time people in the event were like going out into the city and doing what I'm calling a scavenger hunt, but really it's just like point values associated with ways of flying or kinds of flying. Like I threw a random person's legs, you get 2 points.
Yeah. Okay.
And on a cowboy hat, you get like some more points.
Yeah.
And I want to send people out into the city and make these challenges. And then I started to think, man, you could go through someone's window at a drive-through. You could do like lock grinder style stuff that's
Yeah.
safe and not illegal.
Yeah.
And you could do that kind of thing it might be way cooler to do it online iGao style.
That's true.
Suppose the three of us and a couple of the badasses. You got a lot. I don't know how many people are watching. I closed it during our thing, but when we took our break, there was 60 people out there and a whole bunch of big names. Like a lot of people that everyone knows are watching your chat. But suppose you take like 10 of those guys and you have some sort of elite iGao challenge or whatever, where we come up with a point system and everybody gets 1 week to get as many points as they can.
I like that idea.
Could be really, really fun.
I think
Have like
it is really, really
crazy amount of points if you get arrested for doing one of the challenges.
Or maybe just to keep it clean, you get 0 points if you get arrested.
Ooh, gotta do everything you can. Don't get arrested.
Maybe not. I don't know. It's
run.
like hard to figure out which way to go with that. But,
Infinity Loops runs from the cops. It's our next video.
Yeah. You know, I was at the museum race last year, Kelly's race, the micro drone race at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. It's the longest event name ever.
Yeah, it was.
And I was there with Swifty, and somebody at the bar was like, $50 to the next guy that lands on that cowboy hat. This guy was sitting at the bar, and they were literally having a Trump and Biden scream off over there. They were literally drunk fighting over there.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what side Cowboy was on, but it didn't matter. These guys were heated and drunk.
Yeah.
And Swifty instantly straight for the hat and landed on it. And nothing really happened. Like nobody got beat up, and I think Swifty even went over there and bought him a beer or something after.
Yeah.
But he looked pissed. He looked annoyed. But it was just like one of my favorite moments in a long time because it is so harmless.
It is, yeah.
It's just a silly little toy.
Yeah.
But it's something that for some reason, like I say, I need to get talked into those awkward social situations by my friends. And that's what this kind of challenge would do. It would talk me into it. Because it is zero consequence. It's no big deal. Nobody's at risk. Nobody's going to get hurt.
No.
It's just like talking to a girl. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, right. Just go do it.
It's just really hard to do.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I like that idea. That's a really good idea to do the like an iGal style where it's done.
Just
at
like
home.
bring in 10 contestants. You know, maybe you got a little tryout thing or something, or maybe you just make it invitational.
That'd be a lot of fun.
It's just an invitational online event, and it could happen every month. It could be a monthly thing, or 2 months or 6 months. I don't know.
It's a good idea. I'd roll with it.
We just did a freestyle challenge in collaboration with 8-Bit.
Mm-hmm.
I named 8-Bit a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about wanting to do some more stuff like that because it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
A fun night of streaming and judging everybody's videos and everything like that. So that would be kind of a cool little mix up to throw in there.
I was just telling 8-Bit during the break because I don't know if I know him in person, but we've been hanging out on live streams like every day between you guys and Bot Grinder.
Yeah.
We're just like always saying what's up to each other.
Yeah, 8-Bit's a good dude. I've talked to him a little bit, offline. He's a really good dude though. Makes some really cool frames.
Nice.
And loves freestyle shit, which is why that last one was sponsored by him.
Oh.
So yeah, keep us in mind if you end up doing that.
I mean, I got to get more bandwidth right now, But I'm getting closer.
Okay.
Getting closer.
Yeah. Well, when you're ready, we can always help take some of that stress off too. Help do some of it.
Cool.
Don't feel like you're alone with it. We want to make cool shit too.
Yeah, I mean, it it could be a really big deal.
I think so.
I
think it could be.
Hard to tell, but it might be like really fun, and it might be, definitely every iGower is going to watch it. So there's 600 people.
Yeah, for sure.
But I bet it would inspire a lot of people too.
I hope so. I think it would.
Maybe you open it up to like anybody. Maybe it's just like open participation. Points for going through a rando's legs.
Well, then you're putting a lot of load on yourself if you open it up to anybody, because then you might have 600 contestants like iGao did, and then you're up judging all those 600.
By the way, I'm really excited for iGal season 4. I
Oh,
know
yes.
it's not
yeah.
announced and like, so I already told Dan I'm flying to Seattle for the first long stream. I want to be there for the first long
Oh,
stream and
cool.
just sit in
Oh,
his
that's gonna be
house
cool.
between the two of them. I'm gonna keep them from
I
fighting
was
at all.
gonna say keep them from killing each
Oh
other.
I'm gonna
God,
be between them doing this, which I've done before at events too. You know.
you might want to borrow the referee OG whistle for that one, but
Yeah, there you go.
for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm looking
Um,
forward to that too. We already reached out to Dan and told him anything he needs. We also want to sit down with him and do one of these beforehand, just to dig
be
into
really cool.
dig
I
into
would
his
love
brain a
to
little
see
bit.
that.
Yeah, and I'd love to have just like having you on. We'd like to have the conversation just in general. It's something that we're interested in.
Yeah.
And you being Mr. TinyWhoop, it was weird that we even waited this long to get you on.
Well, it's awesome to come on. I mean, I took way too long to understand the Infinity Loops project. how much you guys have done for so long. You know, I don't know why my eyes were not open to that way
You're a
sooner.
busy man. You're a busy man. Don't worry about it. And we also we're slowly but surely growing, but it's under the radar for now.
For sure.
I'm fine with that.
You know, you said once in one of your streams I was watching that, you know, you're not really interested in your subscriber count and all
Yeah,
that, but
not really.
your channel deserves way more subscribers.
Well,
than it
I
has.
appreciate it, and we do hear that a lot,
Way
which
more.
is really nice to hear, and it keeps us motivated and keeps us going for sure.
So
But
it's not a problem of quality of content, it's a problem of education. It's a problem of awareness.
yeah,
You know? It's
we
crazy.
never really did a whole lot of the like kind of cries for. I don't want to say cry, but we never did a lot of the gimmicky stuff to try to get sub, like the whole sub for sub
Yeah.
and all those types of
I
posts like
hate
that.
that.
yeah,
We
we
kind of
avoid all that.
let it go organically.
Yep.
And it was nice because it just that when you do see the growth, it's legit growth. People that want to be there and
Yeah,
videos that you're putting out, not just people that subscribe because you made a post on Facebook telling them to go subscribe to your channel.
and not only that, but like if you're only focused on subs, well, not if you're only focused, but if a big focus is on subs and you're putting out a lot of content that you yourself view as good, but you're not getting a lot of subscribers in return, that can be really demoralizing. That can really
Yeah.
hurt you bad and hurt your productivity. So as far as analytics are concerned, as long as people are watching and coming back and watching again, then I assume we're doing everything okay, and we'll just keep going. But short of that,
Sure.
like try not to think too much about it and just do what we makes us laugh and what we think is fun. Seems like everybody else kind of gets along with it. So far, it's working.
Yeah.
But we
definitely
want to
working.
do something. We want to do something with you, for sure. We need to. We haven't yet.
And yeah, let's just keep talking about it. I want to go big. I got all kinds of ideas, and all I need right now is bandwidth. Like, I take on too many projects, but
Yeah.
like I say, for a couple of years, I've been doing all everything for the retail store,
Mm-hmm.
which before that was not the main focus of my life.
Yeah.
Like I have a really beautiful life, and I love I'm just a really lucky guy, but the beginning of TinyWhoop, I never packed orders. So when pandemic happened and my numbers went down and I couldn't keep my employees, I got a payroll protection plan
Yeah.
of like $11,000, and they forgave it immediately, and I used it all to keep 2 employees hanging out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't give them enough hours.
Yeah.
And then I was doing absolutely everything. And even right now, like the amount of time that I have to just spend placing orders, doing inventory and placing orders, feels like it itself is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it's the
can
reason
imagine.
I'm getting up a little earlier every single day. And now I got Peter here. He's working almost full-time. He is amazing. I've hired 3 people since I started trying to find an employee again, and Peter blows everybody out of the water. I'm talking about Nightwing FPV.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Really solid dude.
That's awesome. It's
And
good to have
he
help.
he was so good. But he's also one of the best TinyWhoop pilots I've ever known. He was in the
he's
top
super
3 from
fast.
California. It was him, Jay, and Orange Stuff
Yeah.
leading the California scene, and then all of a sudden lives less than a mile from me.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know,
That worked out perfect.
and I was like, he came by to pick up an order. I was like, "Do you have a job?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Will you please, please just think about working here?" I was like showing off all my toys. I like got out my drift cars. I was like, "Here, drive it."
Yeah.
You know, I showed him my airplane. I was just trying. I was like, courting him.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
Now we're together.
I'm glad. I'm glad that you got some match made in heaven. I'm glad you guys got some
There
good
you
help
go.
though. It's really
Lucky to
important.
have a guy like that.
It's
He's-
really
he's a
important,
dynamite.
in my opinion, for TinyWhoop to stay afloat and stay in business. So I'm glad that you're still kicking over there and you got some
Yeah,
extra
it's-
help.
It's such a pillar for so long.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it deserves to hang around. It's a good anchor for this community.
The fact that it's almost became like a I guess best example would be like a Kleenex. Nobody calls them tissues. Everything is Kleenex. Kleenex is
Yeah.
brand. The same thing with this. Everything is Tiny Whoops. All of them's Tiny Whoops. I think it's became something that's so big that when you first get into it, it takes a little bit for people to even realize that it's its own separate brand because it's just kind of become this all-encompassing
Exactly.
term for what we do.
Yeah.
Every month or so, there's another thread in the TinyWhoop group or in one of the other groups that's trying to discuss the definition of a TinyWhoop.
Yeah.
And someone always
Yeah.
brings up my trademark, and someone always brings up Team Big Whoop.
Yeah.
Then somebody says it's definitely ducks, and anything without ducks is no matter what, not a whoop.
Yeah.
And then everybody starts saying this couldn't possibly be a whoop,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
Well, even
Like
then
this-
they call them Cinewhoops, and it's like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Even that stems back to the big whoop, like just the name,
Yep.
which is just
was
crazy.
part of the early days of TinyWhoop too. Nurk was at the very first TinyWhoop Invitational.
Oh, no kidding.
He coined the term Cinewhoop later on.
Oh, okay.
By the way, this morning, I think it was it might have been yesterday morning. It's all blurring together. Nurk had a baby,
Did he really?
Oh,
a little girl named
Amen.
Grace.
Oh, no way! Congratulations to
Wow.
Nurk. I didn't
Yes,
know
sir.
that.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
I know, I couldn't believe it. He sent me this picture. Shepherd, pretty much holding his little baby girl, his 1-day-old baby girl named
Yeah.
Grace. It was beautiful.
That's why. So speaking of the personal life, you just made an announcement recently, didn't you?
I'm engaged.
Engaged, right? Well, congratulations. And that
Yeah.
was that a recent thing?
We have been engaged for, I think, 4 months. I just never made a Facebook post.
I see.
You know, Facebook is it's a big place I socialize, and it's
Yeah.
a huge part of my work life, and it's where I keep a lot of my friendships alive. I think it's like, I treat it like everybody, but I'm not the kind of person that, like, is going to post a life change
Right.
on day 2.
Ditto. Yeah.
You know
feel
what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I definitely feel you. there.
So,
Not
but
only
yeah,
do I not do that, I usually am avidly against it for when other people do it too. I'm like, really? Do you have to post about that?
yeah, so, I mean, I people treat social media different ways. You know, I can't. You get to do whatever you want.
For sure.
You know, I got a guy in my family who, like, he would post like 16 status updates a day,
Oh Lord.
and they were
yeah.
like not funny, but attempts to be funny, and like everybody handles
Yeah.
it differently. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I cringe, but that person's not cringing. Maybe
That's
they
true.
got friends that aren't cringing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
that's
I've been with Caitlin for 10 months now, and it is like the greatest change in my life ever. I mean, it's made this whole TinyWhoop project. Since that happened to me, I became way more efficient. I don't waste time anymore.
Oh, that's good.
You know, I fight really hard and work really hard, and the projects I'm involved in feel like way more meaningful to me. It's kind of like you. You know, I heard somebody say in the PhD program at CSU down the street, the people that finish their PhD program fastest are always parents, because even though they have way less time,
Yeah.
they really value time.
Yes. Yeah.
They just want to
definitely.
get it done.
And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that vibe, you know,
Well, it's
and
he-
starting to just think about how, because I do want to start a family, and I have a really beautiful fiance and a really supportive family, and it's just starting to feel more and more important for me to treat my time like it's as valuable as it actually is. By the way,
Yes.
I'm also 41.
Right.
I'm getting older. Life isn't infinite.
Right.
I'm past the half. I'm over the hill.
Well, yeah, I guess
So
technically.
I want
but-
to. Well, maybe. I mean, some people live a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the technology. Maybe we'll live forever.
Yeah, get a little brain computer. Elon Musk
You
was
store
teaching
your
the other day.
consciousness in one of them Furbies.
Yeah, I'm gonna migrate to this Furby.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, I got to pee again, but I did want to open up chat if they had any questions for.
All right, I'm gonna pull up a window for chat because I want to see
Yeah.
too.
I've got to get ready and cut out of here.
Well, can you hang
Jeez.
around for this last little segment here and then roll?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run into the bathroom real quick. Do you want to try to grab some questions from chat while I'm gone, or do you guys want to take
Yeah.
a break and then come back? Does anybody else need to do anything? Everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm chill.
Then
How
I'll
you
be right
feeling,
back.
Furry P. Sounds in the chat says Furry P. And then he corrected it to Furby P.
Oh yeah. Edoc still wants me to do a face punch on somebody. I think I talked to you about this before. I've never been a big fan of face punching people because my biggest fear is that I'm gonna duct in somebody's eye or something like that. I'm so afraid of doing that and being the reason why somebody gets their eye fucked up and then can't race or fly or whatever. And I'm like, nope.
That's
It's
really
just
cool.
my inner demons. My inner demons like, nah, don't do it.
I had to back way off on, I'm a big proponent of face punch. To me, especially like back in the days of brushed motors, it was just like no question. I just wanted to just pound all of my friends in the face constantly, and I always invited their face punches also. There's one of the whooping the I mentioned earlier, the YouTube series I did called Whooping the Big Apple in New York City. I face punched Jordan in a bar, and you can see blood on his lip. You can see him holding them. He's like licking his lips, and his blood is pooling. And,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've taken a lot of brushed and brushless tiny whoops to the face, and a lot of that is pretty well documented. So far, no major injuries.
Yeah. I mean,
That
you
I know
usually
of.
always have glasses on too for yourself, so at least you don't have to worry about that. But
Good point.
like the line of sight brush face punch whoop that you have flying around the whoop houses and stuff like that, like that's fine. Nobody's really getting injured from that. I know I knocked it out of the sky one time and
Yeah.
knocked the flight controller off of it, but yeah, nobody's really getting hurt by that. But the trying to face punch you after a race, or like trying to face punch AK at Whooptopia and stuff like that, I'm like, I'm gonna stay away from that. I don't want to be the one causing the injury.
Yeah, I always put out a big bounty on AK, and this is probably a good place for me to announce this year's bounty.
There you go.
What's it going to be? Any prize you want from my website. I
Ooh.
don't know about any prize. We'll
put a-
set up
put a-
we'll
put a
pick
limit
a
on it.
prize.
Put a limit
I
on it.
mean, pretty much.
Within reason.
I mean, I guess I should this year. This will be the third year of the bounty, and I probably should check with AK first this year. The first year I did it.
I think he said he broke like 9 whoops last year of people trying to face punch him.
Yeah. Yep. It's
That's
a big
the other
risk.
thing, too,
It's a
is,
big
yeah,
risk
somebody
to your
slapped your
aircraft.
yeah.
But I think it was Leviticus that did it. Can't remember. I think Leviticus did it last year. Got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was slamming him. He was not going easy.
No.
And then he had someone get me. I think it was Birds Aren't Real. Birds Aren't Real did a really long, straight one from across the whole course while I was commentating, while I was on the mic. I did not see it coming at all. But when I show up at the race, I always tell everybody nobody's ever actually face punched me because I am the ultimate whoop ninja. It's never happened, never gonna happen, and you're welcome to try. I just deny it.
That's the best way. Just deny.
Hey, Skittles in the chat.
Skittles is in the chat. His ears must have
Oh
been
yes,
burning.
he is.
So is Dio. So is Edoc. Lots of great people.
Yeah, Edoc just confirmed Leviticus made AK bleed. I knew somebody made him bleed.
He bled?
Yeah. Yeah, like cut the side of his face.
Well, I don't feel good about making anybody bleed. So, yeah.
Seriously.
Did you already
No
get
official.
the?
I'm just gonna take it back. No official bounty as of now.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
announce it later.
Oh, Liz is in here too. What up, Ribbit?
More stuff. And Ribbit.
Mr. TinyWhoop, do you still run Spectrum? Did we answer these already?
No, no, we did not answer any real questions. We just
Okay.
been chatting. Sorry.
Okay, no,
Yeah, we
no,
got
Uh,
talking about face punching.
We
yeah.
asked for questions. We really need to scroll up and have a look. No, I'm on ELRS now, but I got a couple on FR Sky because my brother-in-law is a Red Pine guy, and I have a fleet on Spectrum, so I keep a transmitter around.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Spectrum walked away from drones a while ago, and
It's kind of
You
like my
can't-
relationship
people-
with FR
that's-
Sky.
yeah, and ELRS.
Dirty, dirty bastards. Please make some Grand Lotus style tiny tips for us thumbers. That's from Greenhorn FPV.
I'll pass that along to the man himself, Birds. He's the one doing all the designs for Tiny Tips.
You need to live stream and start a Patreon. I guess that'll be when you get more bandwidth.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to start a Patreon when you have a store too. The store's like never ever gonna make me rich, or probably anybody, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not a wealthy person by any means, but I can't buy a house or something. But because I own a store, it's also a little weird to consider a Patreon. I've had it suggested a bunch of times before.
Well, if you're creating
I
content again, it's not a bad idea. Because I would consider you,
Uh,
if you're
if-
creating content, that would be separate.
It's a
from,
good value trade. Like if you can really do a great job giving people great value for it, but it feels like really shitty to question that.
I agree. No, I agree. I see your point.
Yeah.
Were you managing the Alley Cat when you did the Invitational?
No.
No. Okay.
Oh, are you talking about the Alley Cat Invitational? That was well after I was done managing the Alley Cat. That's another one of my biggest views on the YouTube channel. And it's me and some other pilots from Team Big Whoop, like Jordan Temkin and Moke is on there. Christian Avedon, the 2016 Micro Racing World Champion, came back for that one. And that was a really, really fun race because the Alley Cat, I used to be the manager. Now one of both of the owners are my very close friends, and they let me rail that place when it's packed.
Really?
Talking about, yeah,
Damn.
no problem. And they own several other businesses too, like a bar downstairs. They're just really cool about it.
That's pretty slick. Yeah, that's nice. That's
I
a
saw
nice little
somebody
hookup
ask
to
if
have.
this is my garage. I
Yes.
get that question all the time. This is not my home. This is a warehouse I've rented out for 5 or 6 years called TinyWhoop HQ.
I've heard
Oh,
of
that's not true. I never realized that. I thought the Tiny HQ was like your basement or something. I didn't know it was a
I
whole
wish.
separate.
I kind of want to live in the same building. It's kind of one of my secret goals right now, and maybe I'll make it happen one day. But this is like next door is an insurance place. Upstairs is a salon. Now they're putting in another salon right over there. And I have one of the biggest spaces in this building, but it's also really weird space that has like stairs over there that don't go anywhere.
Mhm.
And like 20-foot ceilings over there. And I just have a bunch of Chinese lanterns that make a cloud section for a race course or whatever.
that's cool.
I've seen that section. Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah,
any?
this is not my home.
Sorry. Do you have any plans to sell individual motors?
I would do it if people want to do that. I mean, people have messaged anytime people shoot me an email to the support, which is orders at TinyWhoop. We always sell individual motors.
I actually
Tell
have
anybody.
a good idea. I'll talk to you after stream about it. I have an idea though that maybe we could do something on together.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I'll talk to you after stream about it. I think that's it for the most part.
Dio's saying, will we ever see the return of the custom TWR?
Oh, I
And that's
must be
another question I get all the time. The TinyWhoop Racer was like the standard for 2 or 3 years, and it's before brush motors, but it was like not just the most popular recipe, but it's also like I made aircraft. Like you take a Saturday, you just crank out aircraft and just keep building them.
Yeah.
And the problem with it, and Nightwing even brought it up, he might do it. So I always say my sponsored pilots can do it too, and I'll cover I'll make the investment. I'll spend the inventory money on all the FPV combos and all the flight controllers and all the frames. If you want to build them, let's say, what you're going to end up with is quad that everybody in the world wants. You're not going to feel good about selling it for, you're going to make like, let's say 15, maybe $30 per quad that you build on top of the cost of the parts by the time you put a retail price on it.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting rich. Anytime you see somebody, it's not worth your time. I'm just saying, anytime you see somebody doing a project where they're making whoops, selling them this side of the planet, it's a service to the community. And we've done it a whole bunch of times, and it's really cool to do. But it's
I know of a few businesses that are doing similar. Not on this side of the world, but I do understand that. There's.
It's really cool. Anytime someone does that, I really appreciate it.
It's for sure seen as like you said, like a service to the community.
That's how I do it.
I can understand the amount of work going into trying to facilitate that.
Greenhorn says, "I literally have nothing going on, and I would love to build for you."
for a pittance.
Yeah, I was gonna say for pennies on the dollar, because
like
I'm making a whole bunch of them.
I mean, you'll make some money. Like you work a whole weekend and you'll like have a couple $100. But really you'll be doing a service to the community. The best reason for someone like Greenhorn to do it, or anybody, is because everybody will know your name afterwards. Like if you want to build a brand or something, it's the same thing I say when somebody makes a frame that's popular.
Yeah.
Use it to build a brand, because in a couple months, if it's actually popular, hella Chinese companies are cranking that out.
Yeah, for sure.
So just use it to build a name and a brand, and do what you want with that, whether it's make content on YouTube or just have a position in the community. Like if that's what makes it feels good.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad idea to try to get ahead of the Chinese knockoffs that are inevitably following whatever good.
Yeah, which
good
you can't win that fight.
No.
Yeah, and by the way, sometimes those guys are really good for the community. Like the TinyWhoop community grew so much because of the knockoffs that became widely available for cheap. That was a really good thing. A lot of people experienced flight after that.
Yeah, and there's your line again. Experiencing flight.
Shawnee D says, "Do you have any idea what the total TinyWhoop community population is?" One of my favorite moments in my entire career was when Benedict Hawk said on one of his live streams, "TinyWhoop is the most flown quad on the planet." I don't know if that's true, and it kind of depends on your definition of TinyWhoop. The Facebook community is now at 36,000 people.
Wow.
But I know that there's tons of people that don't do any Facebook.
Yeah.
Like way more than you would think. Facebook is not everybody. It's not even close.
I only got on Facebook because of FPV. And OG basically dragged me onto Facebook. He was like, there's no way you're going to get any other FPV groups nearly as active as on Facebook. And he was right, for sure. It's a big home for FPV over there.
But yeah.
Facebook is asshole or assho. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Precisely.
All right, Jesse. Well, look, man, I don't want to keep. We got to get OG out of here at least. But if you have a moment to hang around, I have an idea or two to pitch that I just don't want to do.
Always listen to an idea.
It doesn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, man, for taking the time out tonight and joining us and hanging out for a little bit.
I would love to do it again.
I was just about to say we're going to have you back on, because there's plenty more. I'd like to dive a little more into your early days of traveling a little bit.
I want to hear more hitchhiking on train stories and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like some interesting stories there. So, we'd love to dive back into that next time you have some time.
I will share.
Sure.
I would love to share. Maybe you can have a place for a link, but I made way before TinyWhoop was ever a dream in my mind. I was trying to make a podcast as a hitchhiker, and I released one episode. I made 2 episodes, but I only released one, and the audio is not good on it. I wrote a whole bunch of music. I played banjo for it, for the intro and all the music in the middle.
Yeah.
And I put it out on my channel, and I've shared it a couple times, but I think 25 or something people have ever listened to it.
No way.
Which maybe means it's not that entertaining.
Well, you never know.
But I'd be happy to share it with anybody that wants to check it out.
Where's it
It's
posted?
20 minutes long. It's posted unlisted on my first YouTube channel. I can grab a link if
you have a
guys
link
want
and
it.
you want to share it, yeah, drop it in chat.
Let me see what I can do here.
Let me give you mod so you can actually drop a link. Where are you?
It's gonna take me just a minute to grab it.
Yeah, that's cool. Take your time.
Well, I know where it is.
I can't even see where you typed last in chat anyways to mod you. But yeah, we'll drop it in chat. We'll get it there somehow. Somehow, some way.
I'm just about to find it.
Fractal says only 2/3 of Infinity Loops is online.
Only 2/3 of Infinity Loops is ever online.
Yeah, only 2/3 of Infinity Loops is Infinity Loops.
Yeah.
It's been seen total of 35 times.
Well, let's do a little more.
You know, I'm not trying to get views or whatever. This is
You don't have to. It's just to share the story. It's interesting. I think the traveling would be an interesting conversation.
Start slow, guys, but I promise it gets pretty interesting. I'm sending you the link now, Heads.
Okay, perfect. I'll share it with everybody.
Facebook. Yeah, and this particular story is about a guy that I met who his name was Cajun, and he's a dirty old traveler that I ended up traveling with for a couple days. And he was a vet of the Vietnam War, and he was just an amazing person. That's what it ends up being about. Just see if you listen to it.
Meeting people.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast was called Stories from the Road. And like I say, I made 2 episodes, but I only released 1. And it was just because I kept meeting unbelievable people out there.
That sounds like it
I
would have been a really cool show idea.
Check it out. You might like it.
All right, hang on. I'm getting
It's
ready.
21 minutes long.
Getting ready to drop a link here for chat so they can watch it. There you go, guys. There is the link. Enjoy that. Okay. All right.
Hey, thanks for
shared.
the compliment on my microphone.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, it is. It's very good. I was gonna say
WMZ.
the previous interviews that I had found of you were with. Oh, it sounded like older microphones you had. This one's nice and
This one's pretty good.
Nice and crisp.
yeah.
And I
Nice.
even have the I'm about to upgrade again.
Upgrade your
Around.
mic again or your computer?
Mike.
Oh, okay. You don't need to. I don't know if that mic's really good. What you
Might
got?
have the same one as you. No, I don't think
Sounds
so.
No,
Whatever.
no. Mine's years old. Very old.
This one's years old.
Well, it's very new looking.
Thanks.
Anyhow, that's enough about microphones.
Yeah.
But no, thank you again, man, for taking the time out, and thank you for what you've done for this community.
The pleasure is mine.
All the
you know?
events you sponsor and the pilots you help out and the ideas that you help come to fruition is really awesome. And it's a important part of this community. I'm glad that you're a part of it.
And just keeping the fun, casual, like kind of carefree side of TinyWhoop alive too.
Yes. Yeah. Please.
Thanks.
Keep
Thanks
all the
so much.
keep all the corporate bullshit out of it as long as you can.
Yeah.
I know you're doing a good
Yeah.
job at it, so keep it up.
Hell yeah, thanks. I feel the same way about Infinity Loops too. I'm gonna do my part to get the word out.
I appreciate it.
Like
man.
I say,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know. There are a lot of people that are hip to it, but like a challenge idea, like we talked about, might really push it.
I think that's
Really-
I think it's a really
I
good
think
idea.
so too. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Right.
All right, well, we're gonna sign off out of here. Thank you everyone for joining us. This
thank you,
episode will
guys.
be available on the channel if you want to watch it back, or if you missed anything, it'll all be there. If you want to grab it over on what's that platform called? Where did we put it? Spotify and something else.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll leave a link down in the description. Spotify and something else. We got them out there if you want to listen to them. This
Just
one will
Google
be
it.
there. Yeah, exactly. You'll
Search
find
the
it.
whole internet. You'll find it.
You'll find
Yeah,
it.
it'll be there somewhere.
It's on the internet. It's out there.
Yep.
But thank you so much for joining us, guys. Enjoy your weekends, and
Yeah.
we will see you Tuesday. Peace.
Good chat.
Peace.